going to be a shootout. I expect to see the ball in the air quite a bit today. And Ted, let me just tell you, it's not mild today. To me, it's cold. It's homecoming. The crowd is a little sparse here, but I think it's time to rumble here at homecoming between Boston College and Pitt.
All right, Pittsburgh kicking off, and Chucky Dukes to bring it back for Boston College. Ooh, and he is flattened as he hit the 20-yard line, and he hit it literally. Derek Parker on special teams made the good hit for Pittsburgh. Now, I'm sorry, Harry, you're cold. It doesn't feel too bad up here. I would think you'd call this pretty good football weather.
Well, you know, a couple of weeks ago when we were down in Orlando, I was in my glory because it was nice and warm. But it is kind of chilly down here, and the sun's trying to break through. It should be a nice football day, though.
It is damp. That is one thing that we have in the air. We had rain most of yesterday, overcast this morning, although sun is predicted by game's end. First down, and it's Glenn Foley giving the ball to Chucky Dukes, who had 148 yards against Army last week. That came after Dwight Shirley, who had consecutive 100-yard games, went out with an injury. And we immediately have a flag thrown down after the first play. Well, right there is the type of foul that killed Pittsburgh last year and that Paul Hackett vowed the Panthers would eliminate this year.
And they've done a great job of restricting that throughout the season early on. They were a very highly penalized team last year, somewhat of an undisciplined team, and Hackett really wanted to make that change.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense, first down.
That was a dead ball well after the play ended, the personal foul penalty on Pittsburgh. So a 3-yard run and a 15-yard penalty. And BC has it at the 38. Darnell Campbell now is the setback behind Foley. And Campbell gets the ball. 3 running backs will probably play for BC today. Dwight Shirley injured his ankle against Army last week, had just 7 carries, but he is cleared for action today. Look at the Boston College offensive line that has done a better job as the season has gone along to open up those 100-yard running days. And even though Shirley and Green are listed, you'll see Dukes and Campbell. And of course, keep an eye on always on Mark Chimura, 89, the all-time BC leading receiver. And into the middle again goes Campbell. This is the type of game that Tom Coughlin wants BC to play. They've been known for passing through the years, Tom, but he wants them to be able to run the football.
He wants to do that, but we can see one thing that's developed already. Dwight Shirley's ankle must really be bothering him, because otherwise he would be in right now. When they go to a one-back set, Shirley is the back who's in the backfield. Right now they've got Darnell Campbell, who was a tailback, moved to fullback when Shirley got hurt. He is now playing that single back in this offensive formation.
So it is 3rd down and 4. Boston College with 3 tight ends in the game. And there go Klein and Mitchell in motion out left. Strange formation shift with Campbell the setback. And Foley got away, and he dives, but he'll be short of the first down. Jeff Esters from the Pittsburgh defensive line was the man who lunged at Foley. Foley eluded him, but he went down, and he went down about 1.5 yards short of the stick. So this will bring the punt team out. Steve Israel, who's been an outstanding kick returner for Pittsburgh, is back as Bill Kushner, senior from San Diego. He's in to do the punting. And Mark Chimura does the long snapping on the BC punts. Wow, that's a wild one that Kushner grabs. And he gets off a low line drive. And it does not make the 20-yard line. So Pittsburgh will get decent field position out of the punt situation. We have played just about 3 minutes of the first quarter with no score. Pittsburgh and Boston College on what so far is a gray afternoon. We'll be back after these messages. With Pittsburgh and Boston College scoreless early on. Let's watch the snap from Mark Chimura on the first BC punt.
Well, they struggled with this last week. They had 2 botched punt attempts because of bad snaps. Chimura hasn't been snapping because he had the broken finger. They moved him back into that spot, but he was a little shaky on that first snap. Last week against Army, they actually had over 300 yards rushing, but they lost 64 yards of that on 2 bad snaps. In fact, one time, Kushner, the punter, took the ball and ran into the end zone for a deliberate safety at the end of the ball game.
Look at the great numbers for Van Pelt, just 5 interceptions, and he has been sacked just 2 times this year. Pittsburgh starting with 3 tight ends, and Jermaine Williams off the right side gets good yardage. The Pittsburgh offensive line, Jeff Christie actually is now starting at right guard today. And Reuben Brown is in the lineup as well. Pittsburgh making a late change, but Christie's been the guy who's been their best offensive lineman. And Jermaine Williams will do most of the running. You see the 2 tight ends. You'll see Seaman and Moore, 2 tight ends in most of the day for Pittsburgh. Now it is 2nd and 4 from the Pitt 28. And it's Williams again. Look at the room outside. And he's all the way to the 40. And Pittsburgh had all kinds of room outside, a 12-yard gain with tight end Dave Moore and wideout Chris Boyer leading the blocking.
Defensive coordinator Steve Zabo said they were going to play some 4-3 defense against Pitt. East Carolina had some success against it. They only have 3 linebackers and no outside linebackers, and they're able to stretch that defense, and Williams is able to get to the corner a lot quicker against a 4-3 defense than against your basic 3-4 alignment with 2 quicker outside linebackers on the end of the line.
David Giunta, 25, who's starting in the backfield for BC, made the tackle there. It is a first down for Pittsburgh at their 40, but there is a movement by Reuben Brown, 78, redshirt freshman, highly regarded player from Lynchburg, Virginia.
He's made a great switch from defensive line to offensive tackle. He's a
Dead ball, full start, offense.
very talented kid. This is his first start. You know, Christie is the best athlete, and he is truly an athlete. He started at 5 different positions during his career at Pitt. He was a fullback, he was a punter, he was a linebacker. Now he's back on the offensive line. And Reuben Brown, he's a guy that they're expecting that they can build around at that critical left tackle spot for the next 4 years. He's a redshirt freshman they're really high on.
So Pitt has 1st and 15 from their 35. Sending tight end Dave Moore in motion, giving it to Williams. This time BC strings it out, and Williams will lose about 5 more. Mike Marinaro, 62, in on the play.
BC tries to stem at the line of scrimmage. They move and shift on the line of scrimmage after the line is set. Here you see Pitt's just trying to run that slant play. Nice job by Marinaro pursuing the play, and Dan Kerr on the outside turning that play back in. Nice job by Kerr, the outside linebacker, and Marinaro pursuing from his tackle position. Pitt's offense is very simple in the running game. They only run about 4 different running plays. That time they shut the slant down.
So Pittsburgh now backed up into 2nd and 19, and Van Pelt will throw for the first time. Well, he'll run, and he'll go out after gaining a couple of yards and takes a few. The 7-10 split out on his sideline as well. Look at the Boston College defense. Big player is Jason Pahopek, who did not play last week and is only going to play in special situations this week. We have let's look at the secondary. We have a flag down as well on the play. The scramble by Van Pelt, and that looks like it's going to be against Pittsburgh again.
Holding, offense, penalized from the spot of the foul. 2nd down.
Well, not off to an auspicious start for Pittsburgh. That's 2 major penalties in the first 5 minutes of the game. Paul Hackett in his 2nd season at Pittsburgh had a tough year last year, 3-7-1, and no one envisioned they'd be 5-3 at this point after all of the players they lost, particularly offensive players they lost before this season started. 3 wideouts now in his 3rd, or in his 2nd actually, 2nd and 36. And a screen to Williams. Oh, 3 missed tackles by Boston College, and Williams runs it all the way out to the 30-yard line. Well, Jermaine Williams should have been hit for virtually no gain. He wound up getting 16 yards.
When we were up here 2 weeks ago, Steve Zabel, the defensive coordinator, said the only thing that we've been doing badly is missing tackles. Right there, Tommy McManus reads the screen and is right up there. So is Joe Kamara. They both missed tackles. Jason Pahopek misses a tackle. They finally knock him out. Watch, there's McManus, one broken tackle, another one by Kamara. They're not wrapping their hands up. Now, Pahopic, he's got a little bit of a problem. He's got the cast on for his broken wrist, but the first two guys need to wrap those arms up.
So now it is 3rd down and 20. Pittsburgh gets a chance. Here comes the BC blitz. It's picked up. And the pass is almost caught. Just broken up before it got to Chad Askew. And it was Eric Shorter, number 6 out of the BC secondary, that broke up the play.
BC came into this game wanting to blitz more on 3rd down, get him out of his rhythm. Right here, they're going man-to-man protection, but a nice play by Eric Shorter, the nickelback, who comes in on 3rd down situations. Man-to-man coverage, stepped in front, made the deflection on that play. It's a little bit of a gamble when you blitz like that and leave your defensive secondary, especially with a couple redshirt freshmen starting at corner. Leave them in man-to-man. Paid off for him that particular time.
Leon Theodorou is doing the punting for Pittsburgh. Kevin Leon punted the first 4 games. Theodorou has punted the last 4. And gets this kick away with some pressure from Boston College. It makes a nice bounce for the Panthers. It's down inside the 20. Or just outside the 20. Actually, 21-yard line is where Boston College will put it in play. So each team forced to punt on its first possession. We have 10:19 to play in the first quarter. Pittsburgh and Boston College are scoreless. After a Pittsburgh punt that saw BC, which has been a good kick-blocking team for Tom Coughlin, get decent pressure.
They've done a great job on this, and there's 3 key guys that Pitt has to be concerned with. Todd Wood, Waldy Clark, and this guy, number 26, Steve Marciano, comes right up the middle and almost gets that punt. They've blocked 4 kicks this year. They need a big play in the special teams today.
And here comes Boston College to the line with Darnell Campbell as the lone setback.
419.
And Campbell sweeps the right side, gains 2 to 3 yards before Nelson Walker, 94, as a Pittsburgh linebacker, makes the play. Pitt defensive line, you see that on the left end, Kelly's listed as a starter. Keith Hamilton will play a lot. He's been banged up, though, with a knee. Nelson Walker on one side replacing Curtis Bray. Ricardo McDonald, another big play man, number 48 to watch. And in the secondary, they've had a lot of interceptions. Israel has had 6 of them from the cornerback spot. 3 tight ends on 2nd and 6 for the Eagles. And Foley hits Clarence Cannon to the 40 for a first down.
This is Clarence Cannon's 15th catch of the year. He was a high school quarterback, so he has an understanding of running this pattern against a zone defense. Turns, gives Foley a good target, keeps himself, his body between the ball and the defender. Nice, simple route against a zone defense by Pitt.
And so Cannon, who's had big yardage with his receptions this year, has a first down grab. David Green now in the backfield, and he gets the call. And there is Sean Gilbert, 300-pound junior from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Most famous is the hometown of Tony Dorsett. It's amazing how 300-pound guys can move like that.
He's a phenomenal athlete. It's actually kind of a tragic story. This guy, he's been there for 3 years, but he's only been able to play in 14 games, and he's only started 8 because of chronic injury problems. He's had knee problems, foot problems, turf toe problems. He's missed a couple games this year, but he's a phenomenal athlete, very hard worker. He's also one of the captains on the team, very well liked by his teammates.
Pete Mitchell lining up in the backfield now goes in motion on 2nd and 12. And Foley throws it behind Cannon at the Pitt 45. Incomplete. Last week was an amazing game for Boston College, and for Foley, they had 77 scrimmage plays against Army. 62 of them were running plays.
They ran the ball extremely well, and you know, they do some different things. Like I mentioned earlier, when they want to go to a 2-back set, they normally would play Scott Murphy and either David Green at tailback or Chucky Dukes. Well, Murphy's hurt, Shirley's hurt, so Darnell Campbell is now the fullback, not only in the 2-back set, but also in the single-back set like they have right here.
Now 3rd down, and Foley's pass incomplete. Chimura was out there, and Mitchell was in the general vicinity, and the ball sailed incomplete between them. Lex Perkins on the coverage for Pittsburgh. So this will be the second Boston College punt on 4th down and 12 at the BC 38. And be careful with your BC. Steve Israel has been a very dangerous return man. Kushner gets it away, another low line drive. This one gets a better bounce for Boston College, and Pitt will get it at its 26-yard line. And that will be a first down. Well, each week the Big East Conference proudly recognizes 2 student athletes whose dedication and hard work enable them to combine academic achievement with on-field performance. And our scholar athletes this week are Pittsburgh kicker Scott Kaplan from Coral Springs, an English major, and one of the premier place kickers in the Big East Conference. And from Boston College, guard Kevin McLaughlin from St. Louis, also an English major, member of the honors program in English at the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Van Pelt on first down, going deep into double coverage, and it's incomplete. Intended for Dietrich Gels, a freshman from Erie who's got great speed, but Gels could not get through double coverage there, and it's incomplete.
Gels is really developing as the big play receiver for Alex Van Pelt. He's only caught 5 passes, but he's got a 34-yard average per catch. He's also turned 2 of those long passes into touchdowns, and that time they tried to stretch that defense down the field. A little bit better throw by Van Pelt. It didn't lead him so much, they could have had a big play there. You got 2 young corners, Michael Reed and also Joe Kamara, a redshirt freshman. You've got to test them with your speed out on the outside.
Pitt 26, a delay, handoff to Jermaine Williams. Oh, look at the nice move by Williams. And he has 1 man left, and it's Joe Kamara who runs him out at the 41 of Boston College. 34 yards for Jermaine Williams, a man who's running with a torn cartilage in his right knee.
Again, some missed tackles, 5 missed tackles on this play. You can count them for yourself. But the one thing they got to remember about Jermaine Williams is he's not a small running back. He's 6'2", 210 pounds. He's got good strength and size. 5 broken tackles on that play before he's finally driven out by Joe Kamara. They've really got to wrap this guy up. He's a strong running back.
And so the first crossing of midfield by either team. Pittsburgh gives it to Tim Colicchio, a freshman also from Erie, who has stepped in with the absence of Curtis Martin. I should mention that Curtis Martin, who has been a big running back for Pittsburgh this year, suffered a toe injury at Notre Dame 3 weeks ago and has not played since. Now, he is in uniform today, but we have not seen him, nor have we seen Shirley yet for Boston College. 2nd and 9 here at the Boston College 40. No score midway through the first quarter. And Williams, well, probably better off that he didn't catch that because McManus was all over him. And the play would have lost yardage. Tommy McManus is taking great advantage of his opportunity. Jason Pahopek being moved outside this year. McManus has been the big inside playman.
He loves the contact. He loves the hit. And that time, Jermaine Williams took his eyes off the football and kind of focused in on McManus to find out what angle he was coming from.
2 years, Van Pelt has had great numbers previously against Boston College. Now he has 3 wide receivers in on 3rd down. And that one is almost intercepted. Tried a quick hit to Chris Boyer, and Stephen Boyd for Boston College had his hands on that one, could not hold it.
Again, 3rd down pass situation. BC elects to blitz. They bring 2 corners from the outside. They're forcing Van Pelt to throw out of his rhythm, to throw quicker. They almost come up with the interception. They know he's good at seeing the blitz. They don't think they're going to sack him, but what they want to do is disrupt his tempo and his timing. They were able to do it the last 2 3rd down situations.
Freshman Clint Kubayama back, and Leon Theodoro with the punt. He's trying to kill that out of bounds, and he does. Hit it right on the sideline at the 4-yard line. So an excellent punt by Pittsburgh. And BC will be backed up at the 4-yard line with 7:12 to play in the first quarter. The Panthers and the Eagles are scoreless. So we'll be back after these messages. Back at his 4-yard line after an outstanding punt by Leon Theodoro of Pitt. Let's go down to Harry Carson on the field. Harry?
You know, it's kind of weird weather here in Boston. We had a storm earlier in the week, and I think we're having some residual effects from that storm, because at some points down here on the field, the wind is real calm, and then all of a sudden there's a big gust of wind. I think these quarterbacks really have to be careful with the way that they're passing the football in the next couple of series coming up.
Darnell Campbell carrying for a couple of yards. This is a relatively open stadium, Todd. Would that make it harder to gauge the wind as opposed to a big enclosed bowl?
It could. It could cause for some swirling winds in here, and that's what they may have here because of that big open end. You know, that storm was a dramatic storm, and it affected BC's practice schedule this week. They practiced in severe wind and rain on Tuesday and Wednesday, then were forced to practice inside on Thursday, and the facility they have just isn't big enough or high enough ceilings to really work on the pass game and the kicking game.
Trying a little fly up the sideline to Pete Klein, covered by Lex Perkins. Now, it's intriguing. We've seen Boston College play a lot of 3 tight end offense here in the first quarter.
These teams are very similar in their offensive philosophy. They'll use 2 tight ends, use 3 tight ends. Pitt just activated their 3rd tight end, Rob Coons, a guy who they're real high on. He has great speed, probably the best of all 3 of their tight ends. We may see him become a factor in this ball game today.
And you have 2 coaches that basically are going to be the offensive coordinators for their teams. 3rd down and 6. BC from the 8-yard line. Oh, there is a fumble and a Pittsburgh recovery. So the first big turnover on a fumble by Chucky Dukes. Sean Gilbert up with it. Pittsburgh has it 1st and goal at the Boston College 9.
This is the same play that Chucky Dukes ran very successfully last week against Army. It's a simple sprint draw. In fact, Coughlin said he ran it the same play about 17 times. Watch, they got a nice hole opening up. Nice hole. Dukes has got some room. Gilbert did everything. He's the one just stuck his hand in there, knocked the ball out, and then also recovered it. Watch, just one hand by Sean Gilbert. Not very good football security or protection that time by Chucky Dukes. He saw a hole, was a little careless running up in there. He's got to really hold on to that football, and he'll learn that as he gets more repetitions in game situations.
So the second big defensive play by Sean Gilbert. Pittsburgh has 1st and goal at the Boston College 9. And we've got a bad shift there by Pittsburgh prior to the snap.
And this has been the area that has really been killing Paul Hackett's Pitt offense right now. They have gotten in the red zone or inside the 25, 30-yard line so many times and have not come away with touchdowns. Then they've also missed several field goals. It's a very much an area of concern for Paul Hackett that they've got to be able to capitalize on these kind of situations. In the last 2 ball games versus Syracuse, they had 6 turnovers they forced against Syracuse, many of them in good field position, couldn't capitalize with points. Same thing last week with East Carolina. They need to get some confidence by putting this particular turnover, converting that into 7 points.
Lance Markle now is the fullback for Pitt in front of Jermaine Williams. It's a 1st and goal from the 14-yard line. A little tougher situation. Williams is a good 1st down run, and he is going to be down close to the 7-yard line before McManus trips him up.
One of the things that's caused Pitt's problem is because they've run the ball thrown the ball so much, and they do a lot of bootleg and play action, their offensive line has become more of a finesse type team. And when they get into this situation when a run, they haven't had the mentality to really push and get a surge on that defensive line. They got a good push that time, something that Hackett worked extensively on in practice, getting back to that aggressive mentality of run blocking.
Another give to Williams. No, this time he stopped after a very short gain. So now it's going to be 3rd and goal just at about the 7-yard line. Let's go down to Harry.
You know, in talking with defensive coordinator Fred Von Appen yesterday, he was stressing turnovers or tackling the football, and that was a good job by the Pitt defense of going for the ball. They are right now, I think, plus 11 in turnovers with their turnover ratio. Now it's up to the offense to put the ball in the end zone. What they're trying to do is just put the offense in good field position to score. It's up to Pitt offense now.
But that little flip pass is caught by Glenn DeVoe, but he is brought down by Tom McManus and Stephen Boyd, the inside backers. And that's going to force Pitt to kick on 4th and goal at the 4.
Stephen Boyd made the touchdown save and tackle, but credit this play to Joe Camara. He comes on an outside blitz. It forces Van Pelt to throw up, and he throws the ball behind DeVoe. DeVoe can't catch that on the fly and take it to the corner of the end zone. Had to stop, catch the ball, and that allowed Boyd to come in and make the tackle. Good play by Boyd, but also good pressure by cornerback Joe Camara.
So here's Scott Kaplan to try from 21 yards away. He is 7 for 13 this year. And that one is through, but in essence, you could call that a moral victory for Boston College. You fumble the ball on your 9-yard line and only give up 3.
A moral victory for BC and a depressing loss for Pitt, because this has been their problem for about the last 4 or 5 weeks. The inability to score touchdowns when they recover turnovers inside their opponent's territory.
And there's a conversation between quarterback Van Pelt and a man who has tutored many, many fine quarterbacks, Paul Hackett. You saw his NFL resume a short while ago. How much of the NFL-style passing games that Hackett is involved with do you see in Pitt's offense, Todd?
It's very similar, I think, to the old San Francisco offense, even the offense that they're running now, and the Dallas offense. It's a very much of a possession-oriented passing game. Short passes, they move Van Pelt around. They don't set him up in the same spot, a lot like they did with Joe Montana. They'll run some bootleg, they'll run a little half roll so that he's not lining up in the same spot to throw the football. And he is an ideal quarterback for Paul Hackett's offense.
Joe DiNucci on the left and Chucky Dukes on the right. Our deep men, Don Silvestri kicks off for Pittsburgh. He is their long-range field goal kicker as well. And the left footer drives it. This will be Dukes a yard deep. Chucky Dukes will come out with it. They crease up the left side, and a nice run back to give Boston College decent field position. Derek Parker again brings Dukes down and runs the ball out to the 34-yard line. We could actually call that a scoring non-drive.
You know, it's an interesting note about Pitt. They are 4th in the nation and 2nd in the Big East in kickoff return, with Israel at 24 yards per return. But they're also very vulnerable to that on their own team. They're giving up an average of 24.6 yards a return against them. That time, Chucky Dukes exploited that weakness in the special teams.
Oh, big hole for Campbell up the middle, and that's a first down run for the Eagles. And Darnell Campbell from Brockton, Massachusetts, good all-around back for BC, runs for a first down.
One-back offense, there's only a certain number of things you can do. They're going to run a counter trap. They pulled a guard in the tackle. Nice job by Parchinsky and Britton leading that play. Nice big hole in there for Darnell Campbell.
Pete Mitchell, a tight end who's been trying to improve his blocking this year, had a good seal-off block as well. Campbell again off the left side. 2 good runs for Boston College and moved the ball to the Pittsburgh 40. 14 yards on that carry. Darnell Campbell was the starting running back for BC in the season opener against Rutgers.
Again, they're running over Parchinsky, does a nice job standing up Sean Gilbert, just enough to allow Campbell to burst through that hole. Little slant play. Nice job by the left guard, Kevin Parchinsky, blocking on the big Sean Gilbert.
Now Foley's running a bootleg, and he goes down. See, the turf is a little wet. Some water sliding up there under Foley, and he goes down for a loss of 3. Nelson Walker, 94, making the play for Pitt.
That was a miscommunication right there. It was a busted play. It was not a designed bootleg. You saw Foley talking in the huddle with Darnell Campbell. He's a little bit new to this position, Campbell is, and there was a mix-up on that particular exchange. Foley did the right thing, just taking it as far as he could towards the line of scrimmage.
So it's 2nd down and 12 for Boston College. The Eagles continue with the 3 tight ends, and they're splitting them wide. Little dump off here. Great maneuvering. All the way inside the 25 goes Campbell. And this time it was Pittsburgh that missed 3 tackles, and Campbell has a first down for Boston College. 22-yard play.
BC has had young backs emerging every week. Dwight Shirley goes for 2 games over 100 yards. Then he gets hurt, and in comes Chucky Dukes. Now it's Darnell Campbell, off to a great start early in this first quarter.
And so it is first down for BC at the 22-yard line. 2:38 to go first quarter. Scoreless game, and Campbell drops the football. And again, it is going to be picked up by Pittsburgh. Another fumble in the first quarter by Boston College, and Pittsburgh, one of the better turnover ratios in the country, capitalized, this time stopping.
And this has been the thing that Pitt has been doing on defense all year. They've given up a lot of yardage, but as Harry was saying, they're plus 11, now plus 12 on the turnover ratio. They make big plays when they have to. Just came in there and stripped the ball. Charles Williams, the plugger, the leading tackler on the team, same thing as Gilbert did a couple plays ago. Just reached that arm in there, going for the football, creating the turnover for the defense.
So Pittsburgh leading 3-0, and the Panthers take over at their 17 for the first down. 2.5 to go first quarter. Van Pelt has Boyer open, but the ball is tipped. In the coverage, tipped by Jane McGillis. And the ball falls incomplete.
It's a fine play by McGillis. He was a corner last year. He was actually a starter at the corner last year, moved to strong safety this year when they had some injuries to their safety position, and he's sitting right in the underneath coverage, times his jump perfectly right there, tips that ball away. Boyer was open, could have been a big first down.
It's a very young secondary for Boston College. They have 2 redshirt freshmen on the corners. McGillis, a sophomore, starting at 1 safety spot. And movement here on the second down and 10 snap.
Red ball. Ball start. Offense. Second down.
No, 4 penalties against Pittsburgh. And what's amazing about that, coming into this season, you mentioned Paul Hackett, a major goal to cut him down. Pittsburgh has been penalized 12 fewer times than their opponents in their first 8 games. This first quarter's been like a bad nightmare returning.
And they've been primarily mental mistakes, just not knowing the snap count, not concentrating at the line of scrimmage.
So instead, it's 2nd and 15. Pitt backed up to the 12-yard line. A little draw here to Colicchio. And it doesn't go very far. Ted Page. And there's Stephen Boyd. Sophomore redshirt freshman linebacker Boyd who helped stop the play.
Again, BC lined up in a 4-man front. Ted Page comes in as the extra defensive lineman in that alignment, and he's had a good season. Playing as a backup defensive lineman, he's got 25 tackles on the year. He's a very good pass rusher. That time didn't go for the pass fake, stayed at home and played the draw very well.
So no gain on the run. It's 3rd and 15. Hit from its own 12. Drop Van Pelt. Oh, and Gels was wide open and he slipped. And that would have been a first down pass, but Dietrich Gels lost his footing and the ball sails incomplete.
Good pass protection for Gels, or for Van Pelt. What you had is 2 players lose their footing. Gels is going to break it to the outside, and Michael Reed, the corner, he slips as well. He has the deep coverage. Both the receiver and the defensive back lost their footing going to the sideline.
Oh, there's a high snap, and Theodoro runs out of the back of the end zone for a safety. A safety for Boston College on a high center snap from Jim Royal, and Leon Theodoro just corralled it, and to prevent a touchdown, he took it out of the back of the end zone. Jay McGillis putting the pressure on, but a 2-point safety for Boston College.
BC led the nation last year in block punts. They had 6. Whenever you do that, even if you don't block a kick, you make people think. You make the punter think, you make the snapper think. That time, a very bad snap from center. Good pressure by the BC special teams, and a big play. Something we talked about at the top of the show that they needed to do, create some big plays with their special teams.
Well, Boston College has survived 2 damaging fumbles quite nicely. They're only down a point, and they're going to get the ball back in some decent field position.
Well, that was perfect timing for that play to get some points on the board for BC, because the last fumble was in the middle of a very good drive that BC had put together. They were moving into scoring territory and then turned the ball over. Very opportunistic right there to come up with the safety, get 2 points on the board, and also get the football right back.
And a heads-up play by the punter there. Leon Theodoro just corralled that loose football and didn't try to do anything fancy. Just took it out of the back and took the 2 points. Prevented anything worse from happening. All right, Pittsburgh is going to elect now to put the ball down on the tee and kick it with Silvestri. And Boston College has Michael Reed at the top of your picture and Clint Kubayama on the left-hand side. They are the deep backs. And Silvestri will kick it. Oh, wind blows it off. Now, normally, teams choose to punt in this situation, do they not, Todd?
Most teams do. This is one of the first times I've seen a team elect to use their kickoff team on a safety. And you see BC is reacting to the change, bringing their kick return specialist, Dukes, in, as well as DiNucci, as opposed to their punt return man.
Yeah, they were caught by surprise as well. So a free kick here from the 20-yard line after the safety. And Chucky Dukes get a chance to run this back from the 16-yard line. And Dukes has a big hole. And Dukes runs it back inside the Pittsburgh 40. John Ravenna made the play, and right now the big special team plays that you talked about for BC as a key have happened in this first quarter.
Chucky Dukes is really developing as a football player here for BC. It's a great story. Grew up in Albany, New York, wanted to go to BC. He was a Proposition 48 kid, and they convinced him to go to Dean Junior College. He went there for 2 years, was ready to come to BC, and he came up 6 credits short and was not eligible when preseason camp opened this year. Went back to summer school, just joined the team right before the first game, and he's starting to come on. He's just now picking up the offense as a running back. He's been used almost exclusively as a kick returner up until last week.
Oh, the carry by Darnell Campbell, and that moves the ball to the 33. Nelson Walker on the tackle. Let's watch the kick return again.
The reason most teams elect to use a punt is because since you're already giving up yardage, you want more height and allow your cover team to get down. That was a low kickoff, and Dukes had a great chance to return that ball. Broke a few tackles, but because the kick was low, he had a chance to field it and start upfield before the Pitt defenders were downfield.
Campbell to the 30. Intriguing as well, because you pointed out the number that Pittsburgh has not covered kickoffs particularly well this year. And so in the last minute of the first quarter, Pittsburgh has a 3-2 lead, and Boston College has it at the 30-yard line at Pitt. Now that is more victory, a big substance for BC, given 2 damaging fumbles in this first quarter. 3rd and 3 here. Another give to Campbell, but he does not make it. And so the second quarter will begin with an intriguing call for Tom Coughlin, as he's going to have 4th down and about a yard. Ricardo McDonald made the play for Pittsburgh, but BC will have the quarter break to decide what they'll choose to do. They'll be looking at 4th down and a yard at the Pitt 28 when we come back. But after 1 quarter at Chestnut Hill, Pittsburgh has the lead, although it could have been worse. Pitt 3, Boston College 2. Boston College fumbled on the Pittsburgh 17, yet they got 2 points out of that.
What we have right here is an attitude play, Ted. It's just a matter of who wants it more, the offensive line of BC or the defensive front of Pitt.
On 4th and 1, and it's Campbell for the first down. And despite the fumbles, Tom Coughlin not shying away from running the football, continuing to hammer away.
They're not shying away from it, but you can see that both Dukes and Campbell are paying more attention to covering up that football when they get in the line of scrimmage. You're going right over Kevin Parchinski again. He's blocking on Sean Gilbert and is doing a nice job standing him right up at the line of scrimmage. Opening a nice hole in there, and you saw Campbell, both arms around the football, getting that first down.
So now BC at the Pitt 23. Keith Miller, the man in motion, and Foley rolling to throw. comes back across the field and has Mitchell, the tight end. Inside the 10, first and goal for BC. 14 yards and a couple of missed tackles again.
We've seen about a dozen missed tackles. This is a design throwback. Foley rolls to his right, and the tight end Mitchell just kind of sneaks out. That should have been a very short gain, but you saw Nelson Walker, Charles Williams missed tackles. It was a Pitt defense and a big play for BC. First down inside the 10-yard line.
Now the Eagles have a first and goal. And Campbell gets just about a yard. And as you mentioned, Pitt has been haunted with some difficulties in this territory this year. So has Boston College. As you look at the first quarter numbers, yardage relatively even, the turnovers key. But against West Virginia, 2 weeks ago, Boston College has first and goal early in the fourth quarter, a chance to go up 2 touchdowns and put the game away. They came away with no points and wound up losing.
And it's a difficult situation where they're at right now. You have first and goal on the 9-yard line, meaning you cannot get a first down inside of the end zone. You've got to get 9 yards on 3 plays.
Oh, great catch for the touchdown by Chimura. Glenn Foley to Mark Chimura for the 6th to put Boston College in front.
If you're Fred Von Appen, the defensive coordinator of Pitt, you know they're going to look for Chimura in this situation. Foley rifles a dart, and it looks like Chimura's got fly paper on his hands. That ball just stuck to him. He's a great receiver. That's his 36th reception on the year, and also his 5th touchdown. Just a dependable receiver for Glenn Foley.
So Foley throwing the touchdown pass, and now Boston College has taken a timeout. They are considering a 2-point conversion here with the score right now at 8-3. A 2-point play could get them into a more conventional 7-point lead.
Nice throw on that play by Glenn Foley as well. He couldn't afford to just loft that into Chimura, even though he had the inside on the defender. He had to throw it hard to eliminate any reaction time by the defense. Watch him, a nice set, good pass protection. Watch him rifle it, hoping that his tight end's going to hang on to it. Look, jumps up, then he knew it. The guy's dependable. I know he'll come down with that catch.
I'm sure what Glenn Foley is wishing is, can you stay around 2 more years, Mark? 12th touchdown pass by Foley this year.
Don Nealon said about him after they played here a couple weeks ago, he said, Chimura's been here as long as I've been at West Virginia. When is he going to be done?
3 more games. But Chimura, I believe, is the all-time leading receiver in Boston College football history. And right now, the Eagles line up for a 2-point play, leading 8-3. And now 10-3 as that one is caught. And it's Chimura again for the 2. It's amazing how you can find a guy in such a short distance through so many people.
This is a very well-designed 2-point play. They really spread the Pitt defense out. Foley's going to roll a little bit to his right. They got Mitchell rolling out to the right side. They got Miller coming back along the left, and Chimura's just kind of sitting in the middle. They stretch that defense horizontally. Foley come up with a nice throw, low and away from the defender for Mark Chimura.
So the touchdown and 2-point play puts Boston College in front 10-3 early second quarter. We'll be back to Chestnut Hill after these messages. Real good about the fact they're in front, not just because they're in front top, but because of what they've overcome to be there. 2 critical fumbles they've lost, and they have the lead. Well, at the conclusion of this game, and during every game televised by the Big East Television Network, we'll choose the Infinity Player of the Game, a selection which is part of Infinity sponsorship of Big East football. For a Pittsburgh team that's reeling a little bit after consecutive weak losses in the final minute of play, this start can't help them very much.
And they've got to be shaking their heads a little bit, questioning themselves, just their ability to make the play, to come up with the play. The last 2 weeks in the fourth quarter, they've not been able to do that.
All right, Jeff Beckley will be the kickoff man for Boston College. And again, the returner to watch is Steve Israel. drives this one deep, but Israel will have a chance. Whoa, maybe not. Yes, he is going to come out from about 5 yards. Trying to make a big play, and he's out across the 20 before he's wrapped up at the 22 by Stephen Marciano. Well, following the safety and free kick and good run back by Chucky Dukes, BC needed just 37 yards to cover for the touchdown.
I know we've got two offensive-oriented head coaches, but there's a couple defensive coordinators right now on the sidelines that have got to be pulling their hair out, and Harry's probably going crazy on the sideline because there have been way too many missed tackles in this ball game for either team to be happy.
Van Pelt hits DeVoe. Glenn DeVoe to the 30-yard line. Van Pelt just 2 of 8. That's an unlikely number for him. Harry, how does it look down there?
Well, you know, one of the priorities for Pitt in this game was defending against Chimura inside the 20 and also on the goal line. It's amazing how this guy really gets open in the end zone. He's been doing it all season, he and Foley. You know, Chimura really would look good in a Giant uniform next season, guys. No.
You doing some scouting, Harry?
Nice. You know, Mark Navarro type.
2nd down and 2, and here's Williams. That'll be a first down. So Jermaine Williams has just shy of 60 yards rushing in the first half. Darnell Campbell's over 60 for Boston College. So 2 good passing attacks, yet each team's having success running the ball.
Paul Hackett's got to be really pleased with the development of his young running backs. You know, they talked about Kervin Richards leaving to go to the NFL, and that left them with some guys who had never played. You've got Jermaine Williams, who's a sophomore. You've got Colicchio, who's a true freshman. You've got Martin, who's a true freshman, but they've really stepped up. Williams had a career game last week, 12 carries for 72 yards against East Carolina.
Quick pass to Boyer. And Chris Boyer, junior out of Detroit, has it to the 42. Joe Kamara on the hit for BC. Well, what you saw in the numbers for Alex Van Pelt is that if he can, or if he chooses to stay at Pittsburgh and plays 4 years, he's going to become the all-time leading passer. He'll pass all of Marino's numbers. He'll be pretty close by the end of this season. He's already at 6 300-yard games in his Pittsburgh career. The 6th one was last week against East Carolina. Now thrown out to the far side, and it's through the hands of Gels, who took a belt from Joe Kamara for the effort.
Gels is a freshman receiver. He's got great speed, and they're giving him a lot of room. Kamara's giving him a lot of room to make that out cut. Van Pelt just gets that ball up a little too high and then makes his receiver pay the price for the high throw. You really expose your receiver when you throw the ball like that, and defensive backs are not going to pass up that opportunity to take a shot at it.
3 tight ends now, 3rd down and 2 for Pittsburgh. And Van Pelt with a deep route, and the pass for, well, let's see where they mark it. It is a first down to Glenn DeVoe, senior running back from Cocoa, Florida. And DeVoe has a first down catch. And you look at the people that Pittsburgh lost. They lost Kervin Richards, as you mentioned. Ronald Redmond, a senior running back, has not played this year due to injury. And they lost the 2 men who figured to be starting wide receivers this year, Orlando Truitt and Darnell Dickerson. That's a bunch of critical losses to skill position people.
It was a tumultuous offseason for Pitt, but it really helped to bond this team together. It was more of an attitude of, you don't want to be a part of what we're doing here, then take off, go somewhere else. And the guys who stayed have really unified themselves and have put together a good season.
Corner blitz, and that slowed the clock, but again missed tackles. And here goes Jermaine Williams. And he's out of bounds inside the 30. Joe Kamara came in from the corner, looked like he was going to stop that play for a loss. And all of a sudden, Jermaine Williams is inside the Boston College 30.
Joe Kamara, he can't believe it. He was in perfect position to stop this play dead in the backfield, and he was only the first among a host of Eagles to miss tackles. There's Kamara on the blitz, spins him around. There's Pahopic, he misses one. Boyd misses one. Marinero misses one. We might as well just name the whole defensive lineup for BC. 26-yard run for Williams. And he is really showing something with his strength and his ability to break tackles.
You mentioned something earlier. Pahopek's having trouble. He's trying to tackle with one arm, and he's not having a lot of success. Here's Williams again. And Williams is inside the 20 of Boston College. Harry?
You know, guys, one of the first things coaches teach you about being a good tackler is you have to break down on the ball carrier. Instinctively, I think most players try and go for the knockout shot and not wrap up on the ball carrier. And I think this is what is happening today. These guys want to make good tackles, but they're not breaking down, and most importantly, they are not wrapping up on the ball carrier.
Pitt has 2nd down and 2 at the 20-yard line. 10-3, Boston College leading. 10:15 to play in the first half. And DeVoe was wrapped up there by McManus. We've already seen him probably equal his season quota for missed tackles in a game. McManus, a junior, grew up in Chicago. Now his hometown is Edgewater, Florida.
That's the kind of thing, too, that really drives a coach crazy, because tackling and wrapping up and form tackling and breaking down the ball, those are the fundamentals of the game. It's what you start working on from day one at training camp, and then you call the right blitz. You bring a corner blitz and you have the play stop, and they turn it into a 26-yard game.
3rd and 2 for Pittsburgh. And Colicchio with a good run gets the first down, and he might have gone had he not run into Gary Gorshevsky, his offensive lineman. Tim Colicchio, the freshman, runs it for a first down at the 12-yard line.
Nice play by Colicchio. He had 48 yards last week against East Carolina, forced into duty because of the injury to Curtis Martin. Nice job following his block, stringing that play out. He ran for incredible numbers as a high school senior out of Erie, Pennsylvania at Cathedral Prep. Averaged 11 yards per carry, scored 37 touchdowns as a senior in high school.
Playing as a true freshman, Van Pelt's in trouble and throws it incomplete over the fingertips of DeVoe. Well, BC stopped this, what do we call it, a naked rollout, naked bootleg play a couple of times.
Pitt will run the naked bootleg 6 or 7 times a game. So far, BC is defending it very well. They're using good contain. You see, Dan Kerr keeps Van Pelt on his inside. Van Pelt doesn't have the speed to really threaten you on the corner. They kept him on his inside, forced him to throw before his receivers were open.
Of course, Van Pelt's great. Paul Hackman says he's the best play-action ball-faking quarterback he's ever worked with. 2nd and 10 here at the 12 of BC. To the end zone, broken up by McManus. Well, that had 6 points written all over it, intended for DeVoe, but McManus got there.
Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I think McManus was very lucky on this. DeVoe thinks he has a sure touchdown. McManus turns just in the nick of time and gets his hand out there. It was a very good instinctive play. DeVoe was waiting for the touchdown on that throw.
And now McManus has his partner Pahopek in there on the 3rd down play. 3rd and 10 at the BC 12. Dave Moore, the tight end, in motion. Deep drop. Van Pelt to Boyer, but he's short. Mark him at the 6-yard line, and he's going to be a good 4 yards shy. Charlie Brennan made the hit, and as Van Pelt comes off that, see Paul Hackett saying good drive, but that's about the story of the year. They've had a lot of 3rd and longs that have been stopped short.
They've had that, and they've also continuing woes inside the 20-yard line. Cannot get touchdowns. The field goals just do not add up as quickly as touchdowns do. I think Paul Hackett was telling them, hey, that was the right read. They took away the deep throws. We tried to get someone in the end zone. That was all you could do with the football.
Here's the field goal attempt by Scott Kaplan, and it is good from 24 yards out, his 2nd three-pointer of the first half, but Boston College has the touchdown of the game, and they have the lead. 10-6 BC with 8:15 to go in the first half, and we'll be back after these words from our... Well, here in Chestnut Hill, they're happy with the BC Eagles side, 10-6. Boston College with the lead. And again, if you've just joined us, they have the lead despite fumbling twice, which could have been very damaging fumbles.
Pitt's been having some trouble getting the ball in the end zone when they get in the plus territory. Watch this time. Van Pelt thinks he has an easy touchdown to DeVoe, and he kind of takes too much off the ball, lofts it a little bit too much, and doesn't get it over McManus's hand. He saw DeVoe wide open in the corner. McManus had a long way to go to get to that ball, and he just tried to guide that one in there. I bet he wishes he had that one back, no question.
Well, at Morgantown, Rutgers on the board with a field goal and a second quarter lead in a ball game that has terrific bowl implications, ramifications. There's a long trip for Pittsburgh down the field to come away with just 3 points. 72 yards. Pittsburgh, Rutgers, and West Virginia are all 5-3 coming into this game. The only asterisk there is that Rutgers, in reality, is 4-3. They do have a win over a 1AA school in Maine, which does not count in the bowl picture. But clearly, Pittsburgh needs a win today to keep themselves alive, and really West Virginia would need one as well. West Virginia staring at Miami next week. Here's Chucky Dukes. Look at the hole again for Dukes. Wow. Big hole for Chucky Dukes to run through, and he's up to the 44-yard line. John Ravenna for the second straight kick return through the key block that opened the hole.
Pitt has been struggling with this phase of their kicking game all year, and what you can't get away with this. You just can't allow this kind of coverage on your kick teams. They missed a couple tackles. If you're not covering kicks well, you've got to do a couple different things. You've got to squib kick or try to kick it away from the return man. Don't just kick it right to them. Let them have a chance to run up through your defense. They're giving up over about 25 yards per return, and it's something that consistently this year they've not been doing well.
So Ravenna, who threw a key block, then got rolled from behind and hurts the leg. But that was a pretty well-placed kick by Pittsburgh. I mean, they put that ball right on the pylon there in the corner, and still Dukes is able to run it untouched.
Covering kicks is all a matter of discipline. You've got specific lanes to run down. You've got to stay in those lanes no matter where the kick is.
That ball floating up short and broken up. And if Doug Whaley had been able to right himself sooner, he might have had an interception there, as that one was intended for Keith Miller. Halftime, we'll have the Coors Light report, which looks back at last week's action at the Big East Football Conference, and we have two interesting features for you. We'll take a look at the art of long snapping. Jim Royal, the long snapper for Pittsburgh, featured. And we'll look at West Virginia linebacker Steve Grant and how he spent a rather unusual summer vacation last year. All that comes up at halftime, which is 8 minutes of clock time away. Boston College leading 10-6, and they have it 2nd and 10 at their 44.
Kevin Parchinsky, the left guard, has been having a great ball game blocking on Sean Gilbert. That time he took off a little bit too soon.
So that'll cost BC 5.
Dead ball start, offense, 2nd down.
Both of these teams come into this game having been penalized fewer times than their opponents. Big edge Pittsburgh has his turnovers. They're plus 12 right now on the season. And BC is minus 6. That's a big difference between 5-3 and 2-5. The team's records, respectively. Foley puts it down, and Foley got away from a couple of people and turned a loss into a very short gain as he crosses the 45. And next week we'll be following the Pitt Panthers back home. We'll be at Pitt Stadium as Pittsburgh hosts Rutgers. That'll be noon next Saturday, right here on our Big East football game of the week.
We thought coming in we were going to see a real shootout of quarterbacks. Neither quarterback is off to a great day, but the running backs have really pulled things together. Jermaine Williams has 92 yards, averaging 10 yards of carry, and Darnell Campbell has 61 yards here in the first half for BC.
And the Eagles try to complete their first 3rd down, and they do to Chimura. And he is inside the 40 of Pitt. You can see what how much easier it is for Foley. Basically, that plays an exception, but Todd, he's able to throw when he wants to throw instead of having to throw on every play.
The running game does that for you, and really that time Chimura was open from the very beginning. I didn't think Foley was even going to get the ball to him. That was just a situation of a matchup between a senior Chimura against a sophomore, Charles Williams, the inside linebacker responsible for coverage on that play.
There goes Campbell, and he is tripped up after a very short gain. Tom Barnes, the redshirt freshman nose tackle for Pittsburgh, made the play. We've not seen Keith Hamilton yet in the first half. And the Mountaineers get a touchdown now and lead Rutgers 7-3. The other Big East game we'll be updating you on this afternoon, Temple and Syracuse. They're just underway at the Carrier Dome. Miami and Virginia Tech are both idle this week. Foley with a quick slant, but losing his footing is Clarence Cannon, and that play hurts BC. Cannon had a lot of room to run there in the middle of the field. But Cannon goes down at the 35, and that will leave Boston College third and long for the second time in this drive.
Boy, BC had a big play set up there. That was the middle screen. They've been working on that with Clarence Cannon, the flanker, bringing him in. The offensive line, because the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, they can go downfield. They were in great position. There was a big opening there. Could have been a big play if Foley gets that throw up.
Now 4 wide receivers from the shotgun, and they beat the blitz, dumping it to DiNucci. And he is inside the 15. Well, that was going to be a big play either way, and it went to BC.
This was a perfectly timed call by BC. They guessed that Pitt was going to blitz, and DiNucci is in there. He's responsible for blocking. Look, he fakes like he's going to block, then he just slips right out. There's nobody responsible for his coverage because the Pitt defense is expecting him to be involved in pass protection. It's a gamble, somewhat of a call. If they drop out in the zone, he becomes a safety valve receiver, but against a blitz, he's your primary target.
22-yard play, and now Chucky Dukes is wrapped up and brought down, and Ricardo McDonald, a senior from Paterson, New Jersey, who's having an outstanding senior year for Pitt. 8.5 sacks this year, leading the team.
McDonald's had a great career. He started ever since he's been at Pitt. He's never missed a game, started since he was a freshman. 17 career sacks, 33 tackles for loss behind the line of scrimmage. Just plays hard week in and week out.
Foley's pass incomplete, intended for Pete Klein. The only thing Ricardo McDonald never was able to do in college was beat his brother, Devon, who plays at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame won all 4 years that the brothers McDonald hooked up.
I'm sure that's hard at home,
yeah.
But because they're identical twins, maybe he could go out sometimes in the neighborhood and say he was Devon and be able to have those bragging rights for a couple days.
Well, you know, Ricardo would like to end his career with a bowl game. 3rd down and 10 here, 4:36 to go in the half. BC at the 13 at Pitt. Foley. And that is a touchdown! Great catch by Pete Mitchell. By Pete Mitchell, and look at the emotion shown by Foley with his second touchdown pass and a 10-point lead for the Eagles.
Pete Mitchell is the other tight end in this offense. The team Pitt is going to be concentrating on Chimura, and watch, all this is a situation where Mitchell makes an aggressive play, and Israel and Lex Perkins, who have him surrounded, they're tentative on the play. Mitchell is right in between them, goes up almost like a basketball player going for a rebound, and he is the aggressor on that play. The 2 defenders were in just as good a position to make that same play, but they were tentative. He was aggressive.
And the extra point by Sean Wright. So Boston College, after another good kick return, gave them good field position, drives for a touchdown, and the Eagles lead Pittsburgh 17-6. We'll be back after these messages. Good hands and strong hands, and Pete Mitchell shows strong hands as he goes up to catch this ball. Watch what those defensive backs are going to be trying to do to him.
He has great hands, and he likes to catch the ball in traffic. Right here, he goes up like a basketball player, hangs onto that ball. Israel's swatting away at it on the way down, but he was not going to let go of that thing. He's only 6'2", But as you said, very strong hands on that catch.
Guys, I'm down in the end zone area, just a couple of feet away from where he made the catch. And it was just a case of a player going up, getting his hand on the ball and not being denied. He wanted to come down with that ball. You know, so much attention is being focused on Chimura, and he has 5 touchdowns already. But what a lot of people don't know is Miller now has 5. So these guys are going tit for tat.
And right now, Boston College has the edge on the board. It's 17-6, 4.5 to play in the first half. And Jeff Beckley will do the kicking for Boston College. And Steve Israel is the deep safety to receive for Pittsburgh. This will be a returnable kick. The 2-yard line, Israel. Never got an alley and then drops the ball as he goes out of bounds at the 23. Run out by Pete Klein.
Right there, you could just see the difference in the discipline on the kickoff team between Boston College and Pitt. Israel's a great return man. They have great respect for him, but every guy on that kickoff team stayed in his lane. They forced him to keep going wide, and then when he did get to the sideline, the outside man on the contain for BC forced him back to the inside. Was not going to let him turn the corner on that team. It's strictly a matter of discipline and hustle, and right now BC is outplaying Pitt in that phase of the ball game.
There's a first down for Pitt from the 23. And they give it to Jermaine Williams. Again, look at the good, strong leg drive. And Williams is closing in on 100 yards of rushing. But Van Pelt is just 6 out of 15. Boston College has done a good job defending him so far. And Tom Coughlin had a chance to tell us yesterday how he planned to do that.
He's having an outstanding year. That's the trouble. He's thrown the ball to a lot of different people, to his tight end, Seaman, to Boyer, his receiver. He spread the ball around real well. There are multiple formations. And I think what you do here is what we've tried to stress is that our defensive football team is going to bend a little bit, and hopefully it won't break.
Well, they have been bending a little more than they'd like against the running attack of Jermaine Williams. Mentioned again, here's a young man who's playing with knee that's going to need surgery at the end of the year. Chris Boyer here is the Pittsburgh player shaken up. But Williams is going to have his knee scoped at the end of the year, but he's playing through this and running well.
It's a counter trap. Watch the block by Reuben Brown. Just pushes his man right out of the picture. Scott Miller, number 60, also gets a good block. They pull the guard and the tackle, and that's why they're so high on Reuben Brown. He pulled from his tackle position, redshirt freshman, had a couple penalties earlier, just a little bit nervous getting in his first starting assignment. But he sure played well on that one. Nice block by Reuben Brown on the counter trap.
And this play will not get off. So Jermaine Williams having a huge rushing half.
Full start, offense, 5-yard penalty.
You know, we mentioned the change at the top of the show of Jeff Christie moving from left tackle to right guard and Reuben Brown moving into the starting position. We should mention that Christie is not unfamiliar with right guard. He was the starter at that position last year, and even this year, even though he was playing left tackle, when they would get in goal line and short yardage, a lot of the time they would move him back to the right guard position because that's where they wanted to run certain plays. So he is very familiar at that position. They just have been very pleased with the progress of Reuben Brown.
Penalty, here's the corner blitz, and Van Pelt never saw him. And Joe Kamara comes up with just the 3rd sack against Pittsburgh this year.
Good call by Steve Szabo. They've been blitzing on 3rd down. That's the first time on 1st down that they've come after him. And Van Pelt was a little complacent, didn't pick it up. You can see, never saw Kamara. That's only the 3rd time he's been sacked this year, and really only the 5th time in the last 2 years that the Pitt offensive line has given up a sack. But that sack does not go against the offensive line of Pitt. That is all on Van Pelt's shoulders. He's responsible for a blitz coming from the corner position.
Oh, a defensive big play now makes it 2nd and 27 at the 27. Van Pelt up the middle. Good catch by tight end Dave Moore. And that extends Dave Moore's streak to 19 consecutive games of catching a pass, and that is a 28-yard play and a first down.
Great play by Van Pelt. He just got sacked, gave up the big loss. He responds brilliantly. Comes back and finds his tight end running the seam route. Same thing that BC does. They'll run both tight ends straight down the hash marks. The wide receivers are running takeoffs on the sideline. Stretch that defense both horizontally and vertically. Dave Moore comes up with a big catch. His 39th reception of the year.
So Pittsburgh gets out of a hole. They have a first down at the BC 45. We have 2 minutes to play in the half. And that's a grab by a sliding Chris Boyer at the 30, almost 37-yard line. Probably shy of a first down. Pitt has all 3 timeouts remaining, so they do have plenty of time.
Boyer has really come on. He's just a great athlete, very well conditioned. Only has 3.1% body fat, and just a hard worker, an intelligent kid. Had a career game, career highs last week. 6 catches for 84 yards against East Carolina. He's really blossoming as one of the threats at the wide receiver position for the Panthers.
And he is up to the wide side of the field. Chad Askew split to the short side. Williams the ball. Jermaine Williams runs for a first down, and that carry, his 12th of the first half, is going to give Williams 118 yards in just the first half.
Pitt's offense is not very complicated running the football. It's a slant play, and they zone block. What I mean by that, see Reuben Brown? He just keeps moving out to the next defender. That time, he went off of the defensive end, went out and picked up McManus.
There's a quick pass to Dave Moore that is out of bounds. Now, Boston College had 3 defensive players who had not yet gotten off the field when that ball was snapped if there was no flag thrown. They were not part of the play. They were near the bench, but they were on the play.
They've been trying to give Van Pelt a lot of different looks, disguising their coverage, bringing different personnel in the game. That time they got a little bit caught. Van Pelt was aware, took advantage of it, got the quick pass.
There's your time remaining. Pitt has all 3 timeouts, and it's 2nd and 6. Up the middle. Good grab by Eric Seaman. That's his first catch, and it moves the ball inside the 10, 1st and goal. Jay McGillis defending a 20-yard pass play. So Pittsburgh getting its first quick strike drive of the half, and they'll have 1st and goal here in the final minute of the half. We'll be back after these messages. Into scoring territory, 62 seconds in the half, and they're at the 6-yard line with a 1st and goal.
Pete Mitchell made a great play for BC, going up in traffic, coming down with a clutch catch. Eric Seaman, the senior tight end, goes up and does the same thing for Pitt. Strong hands, comes down with the catch, and he's really been a key leader for this team. The coaches, both offensive and defensive coordinators, pointed to this guy, Eric Seaman, and said, hey, in the midst of this 3-game losing streak, the last 2 heartbreaking losses, Seaman has been the one guy who has stood up and said a few things, said, we still got a great season ahead of us, let's finish strong. He's been a consistent player for 4 years for Pitt.
9th play of the Pittsburgh drive. They hand it to Williams. Wrapped up by McManus on the first hit. Ball marked at the 4. And Pittsburgh actually here can ensure that Boston College will have very little time to do anything coming back.
They have plenty of time, plus they have 2 timeouts. They can still run the ball again right here if they want to. They may go play action.
That's the play. And a touchdown. Wide open is Seaman for the Pittsburgh 6. So Van Pelt doing what he does best, the play action, and tight end Seaman got wide open in the end zone. His 5th touchdown catch.
BC guessed wrong. Pitt had the right call. And Pitt will do this. Hackett will use 2 and 3 tight ends. They'll give you a definite run look and then go with the good play action fake. They had 2 tight ends, but they had a full house look in the backfield. Good fake. And then Seaman is wide open in the back of the end zone. BC was thinking run based on the formation set that Pitt gave him.
And now Van Pelt, after the 6, is going to go right back, and Pitt will try to match BC with a 2-point conversion attempt. It is 17-12. And so Pittsburgh's going to try to get the game to a 3-point deficit. 3 receivers split right to the wide side. Van Pelt looking quickly, and his pass batted down. It looked like he was trying to throw it to DeVoe. running back, but it was knocked down by Mike Marinero. And so the conversion fails, but the 6 points on the board. And a 17-12 Boston College lead and 30 seconds remaining in the half. And after those 30 seconds are played, we'll have our Coors Light halftime report. We'll look at last week's action in the Big East. We'll also have a couple of interesting player features for you. The art of snapping, Jim Royals style, the Pittsburgh long snapper. And a feature on West Virginia linebacker Steve Grant, how he spent his summer vacation. All of that coming up at halftime.
Paul Hackett might have Jim Royals stay out, go into the truck and watch that halftime feature after that first bad snap there earlier in the ball game.
Well, the last two Pittsburgh drives, Todd, Paul Hackett's got to be happy. 71 and 77 yards. The last two drives. The only unhappy part, the 71-yard drive, they only had 3 points out of it. They'll go into the locker room knowing the last two times they had the ball, they moved it.
And they got a touchdown that time, and that's something that they've struggled to do the last several weeks of this season. That's a great confidence boost for them to go into halftime with. Good drive, and then put 7 points on the scoreboard, not have to settle for 3.
Let's see how Pittsburgh chooses to kick off here. Chucky Dukes has had 2 good kick returns. And Silvestri boots it deep, and he boots it to Chucky Dukes again at the 18-yard line. Now this time, though, a little better hang time, and Pittsburgh covers it. Dukes out to the 32-yard line. 25 seconds and 2 timeouts, so Boston College has the opportunity to run a couple of plays. One thing Boston College does not have, though, they don't have a real long-distance field goal kicker, Sean Wright. His career best is 37 yards. BC is at their 32-yard line. Rolling into the shotgun with 4 receivers. Now throws it up the side as a man open. And inside the Pitt 45 is Clint Kubiyama, freshman from Honolulu. And BC has a first down. There's still 18 seconds to play.
Nice play to start this drive out. It's a design scramble. He sets up for 3 steps, and then he rolls out. They pin the lineman back in there, and Kubiyama, nice job finding the sideline, getting in that open seam against the prevent defense of Pitt.
So 18 seconds, 2 timeouts. Foley can go up the middle of the field if he chooses. And he does that, and it's incomplete. Chimura was the intended receiver, and he was being ridden in coverage by Charles Williams. And some BC folks looking for a flag that never happened.
What BC likes to do is run their receivers downfield and then give Chimura an option in the middle of the field. He's working on a linebacker, Charles Williams. He turns to look for the ball, and Williams really got away with an unnecessary push right there. At the same time as that was happening, BC was flagged for holding by the offensive line.
Hands to the face mask. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul.
And that's a tough penalty because that takes him out of realistic field goal range. You see the Pittsburgh drive for the Pitt touchdown. 14 seconds here, and it's first down at the BC 42. Oh, a run instead, and look at the room. Inside the 40, that is Dukes running. Timeout at 6 seconds. But at the 39 of Pitt, it is not close enough to even think about a field goal. But BC still has 1 timeout left, so if they can hit a quick pass, they would have a shot. But the pass is going to have to be at least some decent yardage. West Virginia now up 14-3. Rutgers still struggling offensively. Adrian Morrell scoring on a 12-yard touchdown run. And Syracuse, which is in the running for a serious bowl bid. New Year's Day action, perhaps, if they can win their last 3 games all at home. And Syracuse has a 7-0 lead on Temple. Rutgers, Doug Graber was talking about making some changes personnel-wise this week. His offense did not score a touchdown last week and has not yet in the first half at Morgantown today. Here, Mr. Blackledge, we have seen the offenses open up a little bit in the second quarter.
Pitt right now is in a prevent defense, and I've never been a big proponent of prevent defense because I think you're so geared into thinking, just don't give up a touchdown, don't give up the big play, let's just end the half. But what you do is you get a little bit lackadaisical and you leave a lot of room for underneath throws and running plays. They hit a nice play on the sideline under the prevent defense, then they come back with a draw to put them back in realistic opportunity to score here with another completion.
BC's going to have to hit the pass quickly, though they only have 6 seconds. And Foley's pass is incomplete, and the half ends. Keith Miller with the dive, but even if Miller had held that ball, the half still had run out. And so Boston College's strong attempt to sneak some points out at the end of the half fails, but the Eagles still take the lead into the locker room. And that coming up despite 2 damaging first quarter fumbles, one on their own 9-yard line, the other deep in Pittsburgh territory. BC has the 17-12 lead, and BC coach Tom Coughlin is with Harry Carson. Harry?
Coach, you really have to feel fortunate. You turned the ball over 2 times in the first half, and you're up by 5 points.
We turned the ball over twice. They were in point-blank range. We had trouble tackling the big back. You know, it's the game's out there on the field. There's no question about it. We've got to tackle the big back. We had the same problem earlier this year. They're going to go to the run game. The first quarter, the wind was the definite factor. Second quarter, no factor. Now it's starting to come up again.
Neither team is really tackling well. What are you going to tell your guys at halftime?
If we're going to win the ball game, we got to get the big back Williams down.
All right, thanks, Coach. Back up to you guys.
Well, the big back had a big first half, but Boston College still has the lead. 17-12 for the Eagles here in Boston. And Feature Today takes a look at one of football's most obscure but very appreciated arts.
Every college football player dreams of that one moment when all eyes in the stadium are on him, when the difference between winning and losing is right there in his hands. Well, when that happens for Pittsburgh's Jim Royal, his world looks like this. Jim Royal is the long snapper for the Pittsburgh football team, and according to head coach Paul Hackett, is one of the best long snappers in the country.
The man has a knack. This guy, I mean, he's not only is an athlete, he's not only a guy who has taken it upon himself to become an expert, but he's a guy who has developed into an expert. I mean, this is a walk-on football player who wanted so badly to find a way to make a contribution, and he has.
Jim Royal walked onto the Pittsburgh football team in 1987, and last year his hard work and perseverance paid off in the form of a tuition check when he was awarded a scholarship by Paul Hackett. Royal is proud of his contribution to the team, and he's refined his unique skill to the point where he can get the ball out faster than you can say, snap to it.
If you think about it, you have to put your head between your legs, snap the ball back to the punter in 0.770 or 0.72 seconds. Every time perfect so the punter can get it, and then chances are you have to block somebody. So there's a lot of things involved in it. After you're done blocking, you run downfield, try to make a hit on the guy catching the ball. The guys on the team say, I love the pressure. That's something I like to live for. I think about that all the time, and I want the pressure situations so I can come out on top.
His is not a position with a lot of glory attached. In fact, if you ever read about Royal in the sports pages or see him in a television replay, chances are that he has bungled the snap.
That's right. As a matter of fact, for me to get publicity, that's usually not a good thing.
Not that Royal gets a lot of publicity, because he very nearly never bungles the snap, and no one tallies good snap stats. But Royal pays no attention to the fact that he gets so little attention. He just wants to make each snap the best way he knows how.
When I get a chance to get on the field, I always want to do my best. And whether it be for a punt snap, an extra point, or a field goal or something like that, you always want to put out your best effort.
Royal received his bachelor's degree in psychology last year and is now enrolled in the Graduate School of Social Work. But if he gets a chance at the NFL, he'll grab it.
Some pro teams do carry specialists who is just a snapper. He snaps for short punts or for short kicks and also for the deep snap. If that's a chance, I'd like to give it a shot.
In the meantime, Jim Royal continues to log long hours on the practice field and practice. He'll practice snapping the ball from 15 yards away to the right hip. He'll do it from 15 yards away to the left hip. He'll do it to wherever anybody wants to receive it, because he knows too well. You can't practice too much.
Well, they always say practice makes perfect, and that's something I'm no stranger to.
We'll return with another halftime feature about a player in our other Big East televised matchup today, West Virginia's Steve Grant, after these words.
Many football players spend their summers working out, generally basking in the glory of being a college football hero. But last summer, West Virginia linebacker Steve Grant took an entirely different route. While his peers were at home, enjoying the closeness of family and friends, Steve Grant was about an hour and a half outside of Mexico City, living and working in a village where no one really knew or cared about what the Mountaineers' chances were this season.
The Spanish people over there really didn't like American football. So when I would talk about it, it would be like a hush-hush conversation. They enjoyed their football, soccer. And if you didn't talk their football, it was no conversation.
Most of the conversations last summer for Steve Grant were in Spanish, since he felt this first-hand knowledge and contact with the Spanish culture would be a valuable experience.
Well, for my major, criminal justice, I needed 12 hours of a foreign language, and it is a university requirement. And I was in the Spanish building one day, and I seen a brochure, go over to Mexico, take 12 hours of Spanish. So I said to myself, why go over there and knock it all out at once? At first I was really nervous, but considering back I come from Miami and what I want to do in the future, I knew that the language, Spanish, actually, I really needed it. So I decided to go over and learn it firsthand.
There were some times when living with this family of 11, Steve Grant needed to talk a little football. Who better to call than head coach Don Nealon?
Steve called me twice from there and said, Coach, I'm doing pretty good, I think. He says, I live with the family and I have to speak it because that's all they speak. But he says, I really enjoyed it, and then I think he did.
Steve Grant currently ranks second in the Big East in tackles and is ninth in moving up on West Virginia's all-time list. He has won honors on the field and in the classroom, and is now poised to give something back to the community that he grew up in.
Well, I really want to work with juvenile delinquents, going back into my communities, other communities around, and just working with the kids, you know, telling them that they can make it, being an example for them, that I was here at one time. You know, you don't have to let society hold you down. You can make life whatever you want it to be.
As proud as Steve Grant is of his on-field accomplishments, he is equally proud of the fact that he is on the athletic director's honor roll and on track for his degree in criminal justice.
A degree, nobody can never take it away from you. Football can go in a second. I mean, that's how it is. But a degree, nobody can take it away. And I hold on to it because I'm the one that goes to class. I'm the one that put in the late hours after football practice and studying. So I value that a lot more than playing football right now.
Steve Grant is now back on familiar turf, but he returns a changed man.
West Virginia football, muy bueno.
We'll return to Boston College with a recap of the first half, and we'll look forward to the second half kick after these words from our local stations. But he really clicked well the last two Pittsburgh drives.
He really did. He played well in the last two drives, got the points on the board. I think he's poised to play a really good second half.
And because of the ability of Boston College to run the football well, you'll see that Boston College had 87 rushing yards, but Foley only had to throw 15 passes for the first half. That's a pretty good total against Pittsburgh.
That's exactly what Tom Coughlin would want him to do. He's 9 for 15. That's a pretty good first half for him, but the 87 yards rushing is what really pleases the Boston College coaches, because that takes the pressure off of Foley.
And Tom Coughlin was pretty clear with his mandate to his team as he talked to Harry just before the halftime began. He said, we got to tackle the big boy. Well, the big boy's coach is Paul Hackett, and he's standing by right now with Harry Carson. Harry? right, well, I must admit, I failed lip reading in 3rd grade, so I'm sorry I cannot offer any help. We had a little technical glitch there with the wireless.
Well, I'm sure Paul Hackett probably was saying the same thing that Tom Coughlin was about his defense. We've got to tackle better. We're not tackling well on either side of the football.
All right, let's try again with Harry. Harry, go ahead.
Coach, your kickoff team really has not done the job so far today. Did you have a talk with them at halftime?
Well, I certainly did. We're just not covering the lanes that we have to. Boston College done a great job bringing back. Our defense is starting the drives on the 50-yard line. We can't have that anymore.
You had some breaks in the first half, 2 turnovers, but you couldn't really get them in.
We just seem to get those 3 points. We can't get the touchdown, and that's what the second half's going to be all about, getting touchdowns.
Thanks, Coach. Back up to you guys.
Well, Pittsburgh finally got 1 touchdown, but they are 5 points shy as we kick off the second half. And let's look at what's happening elsewhere around the country. West Virginia leading Rutgers now in the 3rd quarter at Morgantown, 14-3. And Syracuse with a 10-6 lead at the Carrier Dome over Temple. Syracuse trying to go to 7-2. North Carolina with a big halftime lead over Maryland. The Terps are struggling this year. And Michigan, which is en route to a Rose Bowl berth, leading Purdue in the 2nd quarter 14-0. Another team struggling is Wake Forest in the ACC. Clemson leading there, and East Carolina and Tulane with East Carolina up front. An interesting game for a Big East team will come up in 2 weeks at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg when Virginia Tech hosts East Carolina. The Hokies are hoping a win over East Carolina could propel them into a bowl bid. Look at how the quarterbacks matched up in the first half. Foley with fewer passes but more yardage.
Really, you have to give the first half edge to Foley because they've done what they've wanted to do offensively, run the ball, mix the pass and the run, and he has not thrown the interception, and he's made some plays when he's had to. Van Pelt, Pitt's offense depends on him to do more in their offense, throwing the football. They ran the ball well. I expect to see Alex have a very good second half.
And what helped Pittsburgh, knowing that they scored that touchdown with 30 seconds to go in the first half, was the fact that they would get the ball back to start the second half. So Jeff Beckley will kick off for Boston College. And Steve Israel is deep for Pittsburgh. Now, despite the great kick returning that Pittsburgh has done this year, Boston College won the special teams battle in the first half. We have a conference filled with outstanding kick returners. Israel is 3rd, Chucky Duke's 4th before today, but Chucky Duke's going to jump in that category after his first half runbacks.
It's amazing. Pitt is 4th in the country. You'd think if they were 4th in the country, they'd for sure be 1st in the conference, but they're 2nd in the conference in kickoff return, behind Syracuse.
Well, Beckley's kick, and Israel will have a chance from the 4-yard line. And Israel is out across the 25, and Pittsburgh will put it in play from the 28, Jay Clark on the tackle for Boston College. Well, neither team has seen its top runner play in the first half, although Jermaine Williams now leads Pittsburgh in rushing yardage. Freshman Curtis Martin has been their top guy until he was hurt. He did not play in the first half, and Dwight Shirley did not play in the first half for Boston College. Van Pelt on first down. With a little flip to the tight end, Eric Seaman. Shy of the 35. Seaman and Moore, both seniors. And at times this year, Paul Hackett has felt his team has become a little too dependent on throwing to the tight ends.
I think Alex got so comfortable with those 2 guys early in the season because they were the seniors, they were the experienced guys. He knew where they were going to end up on their pass routes, and it's taken a little bit away from the offense, not being able to get the ball downfield. But the last couple of weeks, I think he's done a better job of spreading it around, getting his wide receivers involved in the offense.
That's going to be a loss of yardage on the dump to Glenn DeVoe, and it was Stephen Boyd, number 50, who's become a starter in the last 2 weeks for Boston College alongside Tom McManus. Boyd made the tackle.
I think Boston College has done a very good job today defensing Alex Van Pelt. This time they read the screen. Look at McManus and Boyd, both of them running to the play. They run right to the area where the screen is being set up, and there's no offensive lineman to pick them off.
4th catch by DeVoe. He's the top catcher for Pittsburgh today, but it is 3rd down and 5. 3 wideouts for the Panthers. And that one flutters a bit, but is still caught. Bill Davis with the catch, and that will be a first down for Pittsburgh across the 40. Bill Davis, a redshirt freshman from El Paso, Texas. He's the fastest player on the Pittsburgh team.
Steve Szabo said if we put our corners in man-to-man coverage, we're going to try to disguise it and protect them. Right there, they tell Kamara, you've got man-to-man, don't get beat to the inside, but give him some cushion. That's a lot of cushion to give Davis to run that outside. Plus, Kamara lined up in an inside technique to take away anything to the deep middle.
Oh, they string out Jermaine Williams. You can see that Williams not able to really put the brakes on and cut back. He was slowed up by Dan Kerr and finished off by Brian Howland. And he'll lose 4 yards on that carry. And Pittsburgh's going to lose more than that. Personal foul. And now if that is a dead ball foul, it will be marked from the spot of the play, which already lost yardage. And that is going to be the case. It is a dead ball personal foul.
Dead ball, personal foul, offense, second down.
So the play lost 5, and the penalty tax 15 more on. Well, Boston College hurt themselves with 2 first-quarter fumbles, but Pittsburgh has hurt themselves more with major penalties. Now back to the 24-yard line. It is second down. And about a mile. Jermaine Williams has some room. And there is a good tackle. Eric Shorter got down to the ankles there and tripped up Williams. Williams picks up about 8 yards. But he had a chance for more.
2nd and 28. There's not many great plays in your playbook for this situation, but Pitt runs a draw. Nice job by the center, Sestilli, leading the play and putting the block on McManus. Opened a big hole for Jermaine Williams. They got a long way to go, but it was still a well-executed play. Good block by the center, Chris Sestilli.
And Pitt now is at their own 33-yard line. They need 20 yards on 3rd down. And Pelt getting time. Now he says he's going to throw it, and it is caught, but stepping out of bounds, shy of the first down, is Dave Moore. Well, Van Pelt came right up to the line of scrimmage and alertly dumped that ball ahead to Dave Moore. But Moore stepped out at the Pitt 47. He's about 6 yards shy, and Pitt will be forced to punt.
You got to admire the courage of Pohopic playing in this game with a broken wrist, because he's really not 100%, but he's basically rushing the passer with one hand. He's working there against Scott Miller, the right tackle, and he's handicapped. He's only playing with one good hand, not able to get in there in the quarterback's face.
And the punt is short, but takes a good hop. Fubiyama picks it up, and he is brought right down in his tracks by Pittsburgh's Vernon Lewis inside the 20. So Boston College will get the ball for the first time in the 3rd quarter, leading 17-12, and we'll be back after these messages. Three minutes in the 3rd quarter, and BC will get it for the first time. Sun has never broken through. It's supposed to be sunny today in the Boston area, but this heavy overcast has stayed intact for the game. As the give on first down is to Darnell Campbell, and strong running by the junior from Brockton. He's across the 30.
Well, Kevin Parchinski is just having a great day blocking against Sean Gilbert. Right there, gets a good block. Pete Mitchell, a good block turning out on Ricardo McDonald, and a couple more missed tackles. You can credit Darnell Campbell for running tough, running strong, and breaking tackles, but neither team has consistently been wrapping up the ball carrier.
So it's first down at the 31. Campbell again, this time slips. Not tackled, goes down on the slip. We've talked about how Gilbert has been run at by BC, and I don't recall seeing Keith Hamilton on the field in this game. Mike Kelly has been playing the left defensive end spot for Pitt, and if Hamilton's been out there, I haven't noticed it.
No, he was very limited last week against East Carolina, did not play on the rundowns, only came in specific 3rd down pass situations. Got 2 sacks in that ball game, but he is just not 100%. And they feel that they're better off with Kelly, who is healthy, even though the lesser player.
4-man rush, and Foley hits Clarence Cannon looking for a first down. Oh, 14 yards and a BC first down.
Cannon's caught 2 balls today. They were both on the exact same play. He ran the curl pattern again. They had underneath route by the tight end to just hold the coverage. And there's a nice hole, a nice soft opening in that zone defense. Cannon finds it, turns, gives his quarterback Foley a good target to throw to.
At the 44-yard line. And it's Campbell off the right side. I would think Tom Coughlin, if you could give him the druthers, would like to replay maybe the first couple of games of the season, get him over again. I mean, he has to be happy with the way some phases of his team have come together here after the first few. Kevin Parchinski is the man shaken up, offensive lineman for Boston College. You look at Boston College, maybe in Virginia Tech, 2 teams that probably are better teams than their records would indicate because they overscheduled, played tougher schedules than perhaps they should have been playing.
And as any young team will become, Boston College is a much better football team right now than they were when they started in September. And they had that murderous schedule early on. They played well until the 4th quarter of their first couple ball games when they lost the games. But right now, they are a very good football team that is pretty much on the rise.
Campbell again. Campbell outside. And Campbell is dragged down by Steve Israel, and there's a flag on the tackle at the 30-yard line. And I'll tell you, Darnell Campbell is closing in on giving BC its 3rd different running back to run for 100 yards in the last 4 weeks.
This is the kind of football that Tom Coughlin just loves. Parchinski went out of the game. It didn't matter. They brought Mark Kennedy, number 65.
Face mask, 15 yards, first down.
They brought the backup left guard, Mark Kennedy, into the game. He came in, blocked well against Sean Gilbert. A 20-yard run for Darnell Campbell.
And by our count, that gives Campbell exactly 100 yards. Chucky Dukes had 100 yards last week, and Shirley the 2 weeks prior to that. Another flag down as Campbell gains a yard to the 15. Ricardo McDonald, Tom Bart on the tackle for the Panthers. So Boston College leading 17-12 and driving with 9:47 to play in the 3rd quarter. And this one's going to walk backwards against the Eagles.
Holding, offense, 10 yards, first down.
Darnell Campbell has really stepped into the limelight today. On the season, he was only averaging 3.8 yards a carry. Today, he's over 6 yards a carry. He's really become the feature back in this offense today for Boston College.
Now BC snapping it on 1st and 20. And Foley to the end zone for Chimura. And that's out the backside of the end zone, incomplete. BC had 4 receivers running patterns down near the end zone, and Foley had a lot of time to look for him.
You know, the absence of Keith Hamilton on this defensive line for Pitt is really showing up right now in these passing situations. They're not getting any pressure on Foley. He is the key pass rusher along with Rico McDonald. But the thing is, with Hamilton out of the game, the line can put more attention and more focus on stopping Ricardo McDonald, which they've been able to do so far today.
Chucky Dukes now in the backfield behind Campbell. And Dukes gets the carry. Good run by Chucky Dukes to the 15. And that gives BC a more realistic chance on 3rd down. They'll have 9 yards to go.
This is Chucky Dukes' play right here, the sprint draw. He ran it 17 times last week against Army. He's running again today. Good offensive line blocking, good push by the line of scrimmage, a good block by fullback Darnell Campbell leading the play as well. Not only is he running the ball effectively, he's leading in that 2-back set. He's the I formation fullback. In the 1-back set, he's the only running back.
Now it is 3rd down and 9 at Pitt 15. 4 receivers out. Now Foley having to run. And throw has a man. Touchdown. Clarence Cannon. And Cannon ran a great pattern there on Dave Coleman to get free. 12.
You teach your wide receivers to do this. When they see the quarterback scramble, you break your pattern and you go into a scramble pattern. That's exactly what Clarence Cannon did right there. 2 weeks ago, we saw Keith Miller do this when Foley left the pocket. Watch. He set up the throw downfield. Now he leaves the pocket. Clarence Cannon sees it, adjusts his route. Foley reads it correctly, and Cannon takes it to the end zone for a touchdown. He was on a short route. When he saw Foley roll to the right, he then wheeled and spun back to the end zone and left the cornerback out around the goal line.
Extra point is good by Sean Wright. Well, Glenn Foley has thrown 3 touchdown passes and no interceptions in this game. Another in a string of good games by Foley. And Boston College leads Pitt 24-12. 8:42 to go in the third, and we'll be back after these words from our local stations.
Presenting USDA Choice Certified Hoss Beef. Tender, juicy, mouth-watering. When you're really hungry,
Beef it
at Hoss's Steak and Feed.
Harris Wofford, handpicked by Bob Casey. Together they just gave us the biggest tax hike in history. Now Wofford wants to give us government-run health care, just like the failed Canadian plan where people are forced to wait in line for surgery.
We need to reform our health care system. Under my plan, we'll fight rising costs and ensure that everyone has affordable health coverage. But we'll do it without raising your taxes or taking away your right to choose your own doctor.
The choice is Thornburg.
Well, we're not going to see the touchdown pass on this replay, but we'll see one of the big reasons why the touchdown was completed.
Pitt's defense is so focused on Mark Chmura in this part of the field, in this situation. Look, 2 guys, Nelson Walker, Charles Williams, and also in the top of your picture, the strong safety, Doug Whaley, also looking in at Chmura. That left single coverage, Dave Coleman, working on Clarence Cannon out on the outside. And when Foley scrambled and bought more time, it was too much time to stay with him man-to-man. He made a nice adjustment on the throw.
Well, Boston College going 83 yards. They've had 3 good touchdown drives in a row. Harry, how did it look to you?
Well, Foley did a good job of finding an open receiver, but, you know, you have to look at the entire series. I think the offensive line did an excellent job of opening holes. Pitt's defensive line is not coming off the ball using their hands. As a result, they're being tied up in their holes for the running backs to run through. But also with that offensive line of Boston College, I can see that Tom Coughlin has done a good job of teaching these guys how to hold and not get caught.
Spoken like a true defender. Here's Beckley kicking off. And that's out of bounds, which will give Pittsburgh an option here. Harry, you know, it's an old giant there. You might have to ask Coach Coughlin if you can borrow some of those techniques.
Well, I don't need it. I really don't need any of those techniques. Right. But, you know, the mark of a good offensive lineman, because
procedure, free kick out of bounds on the kicking team. Ball will be put in play, 1st and 10 on the 35.
Offensive linemen are going to hold, and they're taught to hold. The trick is not getting caught.
Oh, it'll be first out of the 35 for Pittsburgh after the out-of-bounds kick. Pittsburgh punted on its first possession of the second half, and now Van Pelt gets the ball with 2 touchdowns behind. Glenn DeVoe in front of Jermaine Williams. And Van Pelt being pressured. Dumps it out again. This another play that Boston College has had covered well. The little dump in the flat to DeVoe. And he is brought down for no gain. Pressure was by Joe Kamara.
Again, what they're doing is they're kind of luring Van Pelt into this short throw. He's dumping it to his back. Big hit there by Jay McGillis, and then Ron Stone, pursuing from his defensive end position, comes down the line and makes the finishing tackle on that play.
They get forward progress now to the 37, 2 yards. And so it's 2nd and 8 as the give goes to Williams, and he's wrapped up at the 40. Stephen Boyd made the first hit. And Pitt will have 3rd and 5.
You can see Boyd and McManus flow into the play. Reuben Brown comes off, gets a nice block on McManus, but Boyd is left untouched, comes up for the big tackle there.
So now we have 3rd down and 5 for Pitt from the 40-yard line. Van Pelt has hit 5 in a row, and he needs to connect on one here for at least 5 yards. He has Boyer split wide left. BC showing blitz. And it's caught by the tight end. That's a first down catch by Dave Moore, and he's into BC territory. So Van Pelt turning to his favorite targets, his fine senior tight ends, and it's first down Pitt at the BC 45.
Defenses know that when they blitz Van Pelt, that he's going to look for his tight ends. That's his blitz read. That's his hot receiver. But what's been happening sometimes, Paul Hackett said, is that our tight ends have not been getting deep enough to pick up the first down. They're not real fast. They catch the ball well, but they haven't been picking up the first down. You see when they've tried to hit DeVoe in that same kind of situation, he hasn't been getting enough yardage to get the first down. That time, Moore did a nice job getting deep enough on his route to pick up the first down.
Oh, he's in trouble, and Van Pelt goes down. He couldn't get away from Ron Stone. And Van Pelt loses 10 yards.
I think Alex just stumbled on this play. He had one stumble last week against East Carolina that resulted in a sack. He never really saw Stone, but he tripped. You could see his right foot got caught in the turf. I don't think he could have eluded the grasp of Ron Stone on that play. Stone will get credited for the sack, but it was actually just a stumble by Van Pelt.
And a big play, a 10-yard loss. Pittsburgh is having to convert some big plays here. 2nd and 20, 3 wide receivers. Deep route, long throw, and it's an errant one behind Junior Green. Cutting over the middle. And now Van Pelt Pittsburgh will have 3rd and 20. There's only so many times you can pull your team out of that kind of hole. So often you can go with the 3rd and 18, 3rd and 20s. Now to the 4th quarter at Morgantown, and Rutgers still has not scored an offensive touchdown. And Syracuse and Temple, Syracuse by a touchdown to 2nd quarter at the Carrier Dome. West Virginia could be in 3rd place in the conference. Overall records if the scores of today hold up. That is complete to Boyer, and a big completion by Pittsburgh. They hit a 3rd and 20 for a first down. I'll tell you, he's been a little Houdini here.
See, when Pitt drops back to pass and there's no blitz, Van Pelt has the time then to look for his wide receiver as the primary target. When it's a blitz, he's going to check to his tight end for the hot read. This time there was no blitz, just a 4-man rush. He gives himself time to wait for Boyer to cross the field, make the catch for the first down.
Anybody who's watched Van Pelt over the last couple of years would see that about him. If you try to cover and give him time, he'll pick you apart. And he did there, completing a 3rd and 20 pass. Now they can run Williams. And a good surge off the left side. Jermaine Williams runs the ball down inside the 25.
These two teams are running basically the exact same running plays on offense. That was the counter trap by Pitt. BC's been running it as well. They ran it, coming to the left. Good blocks by Jeff Christie and Scott Miller, the right guard and tackle, pulling on the play. There's Christie, 62. He gets his block. Miller just gets in the way of his guy to seal off a hole there for Williams to pick up some positive yardage.
So it's 2nd and 1, 3 tight ends. And Dave Moore in motion. Oh, good cutback by Williams. And he moves it forward for the first down to the 20-yard line. Dan Kerr finally wrapped him up for BC. Oh, with 5 minutes to play in the 3rd, Boston College leading 24-12, but Pitt has a first down at the BC 20.
Again, the linebackers flowing with the counter action, and then they're taken completely out of the play. McManus and Boyd are taken out of the play. Williams makes a decision to cut it back, and you can see he's a little bit hobbled by that knee problem. It would be scary to think how good he would be if he was completely healthy.
142 yards today. Van Pelt out of trouble. And a completion to Chris Boyer at the 15. McManus pressuring Van Pelt, but he still hit the pass. This is a drive that for Pittsburgh, even though it's still the third quarter, they have to be thinking they need a touchdown here. A field goal still would leave them 2 scores behind.
And this was a great play by Alex Van Pelt. McManus comes on the blitz. He beats his man. Now watch the savvy of Van Pelt. Just ducks under the arm of McManus and then still has the poise and the presence to make the throw for a completion.
2nd and 5 from the BC 15. Kamara coming from behind. Hit Van Pelt as he throws it, and it's intercepted. Jay McGillis with the interception as the corner blitz worked again by Joe Kamara.
Steve Szabo said, we've got to confuse him. We've got to do some different things, come with some blitzes that he's not expecting. The corner blitz has just been a perfect call every time they've used it today. Watch, Van Pelt is rolling to his right. He has no idea that Kamara's coming behind him. He thinks he has plenty of time to make the throw. Kamara hits him, it disrupts the throw, and McGillis comes up with the interception.
Meanwhile, Campbell running, and Campbell is out across the 30, and that'll be a first down for Boston College. Well, you really have to give the BC defense a lot of credit today. They have done a fine job stymieing one of the better passers in the country. Pittsburgh had better than 500 yards in offense last week against East Carolina.
They did, but East Carolina used a lot of blitzes against them, and they were very effective. They stopped some plays. They came up with big plays on 3rd down because of the blitz. The Boston College coaches watched that film and decided that they were going to try the same tactic today on 3rd down situations against Van Pelt.
And the ball carrier again is Campbell. Well, Tom Coughlin said at the beginning of the year he was going to try to establish some kind of a running game. Boston College last year averaged just 70 yards a game rushing. That was 104th out of 106 schools in Division 1A. Now you've had 4 straight weeks where a BC runner has gained over 100 yards. .55 to go in the 3rd. BC with a 12-point lead and running Campbell again, and he's to the 40s for Tom Tumulty. Takes the first hit for Pitt. Now it'll be 3rd and a yard.
You mentioned the running game and the success in recent weeks, and really it's been a slow learning process for this football team. Coughlin came in wanting to do that, but his offensive line and whole offensive team were so geared to a different type of attack in the last couple years that it's taken them a while to see that, hey, this is the kind of football team that we're going to be, and if we can do this, we'll be successful. They've seen the results of it very effectively in the last couple weeks.
And Campbell gets the first down. Not a lot, but enough. Sometimes, Todd, the transition that BC's going through right now is tougher for the fans to get used to than for anyone else. I saw the same thing happen a couple of years ago at Stanford, another school that was noted for great passers through the years, and suddenly they decided they had a running back named Brad Mustard. They were going to run the football. The people were not used to seeing this.
Well, they've definitely been used to seeing that ball fly through the air, but they haven't seen many wins in the last couple of years either. Coughlin is convinced this is what we need to do in order to win football games.
Foley with a good fake. And going from top of the man open, Miller! And the ball was deflected, I believe, by Doug Whaley, who came flashing in at the last moment. Miller was wide open at the Pitt 25.
Great hustle and play by Doug Whaley. It was a 2-deep coverage zone. Now they've been running the ball well. Foley makes a great play action fake. See, hides the ball, very patient setting up. They got Chimura running down the middle of the field. That leaves the receiver open, Miller on the sideline. Whaley comes a long way from his deep safety position to knock that ball away. Whaley's just a sophomore. He's got 4 interceptions on the year. He's also the 2nd leading tackler, a very aggressive kid.
And there's a fumble. Campbell fumbled it. And Pittsburgh says they have it. Let's see. It looks like the referee is saying BC recovered. And that's a big break for the Eagles as Campbell had that ball come flying out. But it's Kevin Parchinski. There's some justice there. He is the man who comes up with the football.
Again, Pittsburgh doing the same thing, going for the football. Chucky Dukes, he fumbled earlier in the game. He's still carrying a little loose. And right there, you see Sean Gilbert again. He's got his hand around the football, ripping at the ball.
Thank you for the correction. It was Dukes on the carry, and Gilbert, who caused the first Dukes fumble, created that one as well. Now it is 3rd and 9. Out of the shotgun. Pressure. And they've got Foley wrapped up. Nelson Walker, who is a good pass rusher in his Pittsburgh career. And Walker wraps up Foley for a big loss back to the 30-yard line. 14 yards on the sack.
Pitt got aggressive on this call. They went with the blitz, and Tom Tumbledy, number 84, is going to come into your picture first. He's diving at him, turns him right into Nelson Walker, number 94, the outside linebacker, who was also coming on the rush. Brought more people on that play than BC was able to handle with their offensive line.
Now Bill Kushner, the punt, first time in a while. First time since the first quarter that BC has punted. Kushner gets a good one off. Israel, he's going to get smacked. And he's lucky he held on to the football at the 25-yard line. Michael Reed, 17. 3 touchdown passes from Glenn Foley to 3 different receivers. And a strong defensive effort that has made the day difficult for Alex Van Pelt. Right now, BC leads 24-12 late in the 3rd. And Pelt, in this 3rd quarter, has completed 8 of 10 passes, but got shut down deep in BC territory.
That interception was only his 6th of the season. He's very careful with the football, but he got fooled on that corner blitz the last time out.
Out of the eye, Van Pelt looking to throw. Now stepping up, flips it ahead, and that is a completion to Junior Green. Wide receiver. Eric Shorter on the tackle. And the gain is going to be just shy of a first down.
A lot of different teams have different ways of signaling plays and communicating to the quarterback. That's Joe Walton Jr. His nickname is Tiger. He signals the formations. He stands right next to Paul Hackett the whole game while Pitt has the ball. Paul Hackett communicates to him what he wants, then he signals it into Van Pelt.
And that play ends the 3rd quarter at Alumni Stadium. Boston College, the only score in the quarter. They now lead 24-12. The 4th authority of the Big East Conference, and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Big East Conference is prohibited. Here it's been so far been pretty pleasant homecoming. BC with the lead, 24-12. And Harry, how are things on the field?
Hey guys, I think what Pitt will have to do is score a bomb play or something from far out, because they're having trouble getting the ball inside the 20-yard line. They need a big play right now going into the 4th quarter.
Jermaine Williams trying to give him something on a running play. And he's racked up. Mike Marinaro, 62. Stephen Boyd combined on the hit.
I made this point earlier in the game that Pitt, because of as much that they throw the football and the play action and the bootleg, they've become more of a finesse type team. Right there, that's 2nd and 2, 2nd and a long 1.5, and they can't get the first down by running. They actually lose yardage. They've lost that mentality of being an aggressive offensive line that can push a defense around and pick up 2 and 3 yards at a crack running the football.
And now they've gone from 2nd and really 1 to 3rd and 3. And they look to throw it. Blitz. Wow, that's a major plus for the BC defense to take Pittsburgh from 2nd and 1 and put him into a punt situation. And Boyd put all the pressure on Van Pelt. He had a great point there about the 2nd and 1 play.
They lose yardage on the 2nd down play, then they get him in 3rd in a passing situation, and they've already decided we're going to blitz Van Pelt in this situation. They bring both McManus and Boyd inside blitz. They force him to throw the ball away.
And that brings on Leon Theodoro to do the punting for Pitt. Kubayama is the deep back for BC. BC a good kick blocking team. Oh, up the middle. Somebody came close there, but the punt gets away, and Kubayama takes a fair catch to 25. Mike Panos, the linebacker that came up the middle and had a good shot at the punt. BC takes over at the 26-yard line, leading by 12 early in the fourth quarter. In 3, you can see the numbers look fairly even. Penalties a big edge to BC. But Boston College has made the biggest plays of the game. That's what has them in front of the scoreboard by 12. Klein in motion. Darnell Campbell carrying. And Campbell busts! Dragged down by Tinker Harris inside the Pittsburgh 20. Darnell Campbell goes 56 yards.
This guy's had a lot of big plays today. Right now, it's just a counter trap. They pull the guard in the tackle. He cuts it right up into them, bounce off. Look at the block by Chimura. Just takes his man, blocks him for about 4 or 5 seconds on that play. Just enough time for Campbell to spring it all the way to the outside. They had the whole defense just smashed into the inside. Chimura sealed out the corner with his block on the linebacker. Campbell had a lot of daylight to run down the sideline.
Now it is first down for Boston College, and David Green is hit for a loss. Charles Williams in to make that play for the Panthers. Darnell Campbell has run for 178 yards on 23 carries.
BC has made a lot of big plays on offense today, but I have to say that the biggest play that they may have made in this second half was recovering their own fumble on that last series. If they lose that football in their own territory and Pitt puts a quick score up, this is a much different football game.
Again, Green in the backfield behind Foley on 2nd and 13 to the end zone. Caught it, touchdown, BC. In this game, Clarence Cannon caught a ball that he never should have caught.
A lot of times, this is the difference between an offensive receiver and a defensive back. A receiver has an advantage in a situation like this. Foley basically throws the ball up for grabs, but Cannon has more awareness of going up for the football and making the catch. In that situation, Coleman is just trying to knock the ball down. He's not as quick to react on that situation as Cannon was. The receiver always has an advantage in that particular situation.
And the extra point put through by Sean Wright. 4th touchdown pass by Glenn Foley. Marvelous grab by Clarence Cannon. A sophomore, his 2nd touchdown catch of the game. And Boston College leads 31-12. We'll be back after these messages. Schmidt from Long Island has caught 2 touchdown passes, 2 of the 4 thrown by Glenn Foley.
A lot of times a quarterback doesn't have to have the receiver wide open to go ahead and make the throw. Right now he sees the defender and the receiver are even up, but he gives his guy a chance, having confidence that Cannon will come up with the catch. He's more used to stopping, going up for the football than a defensive back is. Coleman's in great position to make the play, but Foley trusted his receiver on that particular play.
And you'll appreciate this. Sometimes receivers can make quarterbacks' numbers look better. Now Foley's had 2 touchdown passes out of 4 that could have been interceptions. Great catches by his receiver.
Gave his receivers a chance. Mitchell for the touchdown earlier in the first half. Cannon right there.
Harry on the field. Had to look down there.
Guys, he made an acrobatic catch. He really didn't have the ball when he first went up. By the time he hit the ground, he had gathered the ball in. It was a super instinctive play on his part. You know, BC has been down last couple of years, but with a strong running attack and a very good passing attack now, they are establishing themselves as a force to be reckoned with in the Big East Conference.
I think they wouldn't mind having a game or 2 back that they could play at the end of the season from early. They might feel they have a better chance to win now the way they're playing. Jeff Beckley kicking, Israel fielding it. And he slips and goes down. I would imagine after another long drive by Boston College is a real test now for Pittsburgh to try and keep their spirits up as they're staring at a 4th consecutive loss.
Very easy for the morale and the heads to get down on that Pitt sideline. It'll be interesting to see how they rally right now behind Alex Van Pelt in this offense to try to get back in this football game. There's still 12.5 minutes left in the game. It's not like the game is out of reach, particularly with a quarterback as talented as Van Pelt.
You're looking at a 3-touchdown deficit, even though it's 19 points. And that's an interception. Pahopik came up with it. The ball was deflected by Dan Kerr. Somehow with one arm, Pahopik caught it.
Joe Kamara must be wearing an invisible jersey out here because, again, he comes in from the cornerback position. They get good pressure up the middle. Now watch. Here's Kamara coming into your picture. He gets his hand on the arm and on the football. Disrupts that play, and Pahopik comes up with the catch. He has made 3 great plays, putting pressure on from his corner position today, disrupting Van Pelt.
And there's Campbell. Touchdown. And all of the pain of a lot of early season losses to better teams is being soothed today. Darnell Campbell over 200 yards on this run.
We mentioned that the attitude, the morale might be down right there. Boston College just took the game right to them, ran right through there. Campbell was not even touched going to the end zone. It's very difficult for the defense to come back on the field and make a play in that circumstance, and they've got to find a way to suck it up and make the play.
And it is now 38-12 Boston College in a remarkable second half. 202 yards by Darnell Campbell, and the Boston College Eagles have blown this open. 12:27 to play. I like it. I'm sure never dreamt that his team would be looking at 38 points against them today. Here's Jermaine Williams spinning. And Williams moves it out close to the 35. I don't believe Pittsburgh third down here.
Probably the happiest guy right now for Boston College is the quarterback, Glenn Foley. You know, he made his college debut against Pitt last year, came in relief for Willie Hicks, who got hurt. He threw for over 200 yards, but he also was intercepted 4 times in that ball game. They lost 29-6. It was left a very sour taste in his mouth of his first collegiate experience. He's played very well today.
Well, he said of that game, I had no idea what I was doing. I was in a fog. Today he's put Pittsburgh in a fog. Van Pelt hit as he throws, but is still completed. Junior Green. And he is finally brought down inside the 40. Boston College. So Van Pelt connecting on yet another third down pass, 28 yards. Green hobbles off.
Great throw by Van Pelt. They had good pressure coming up the middle. He holds on to the last minute. He's a tough kid, stands in the pocket and throws a timing route at 20 yards down the field. That's a difficult thing to do. That's a strong arm that Van Pelt showed right there, throwing a timing route on the out pattern after being put under severe pressure by Ted Page, number 90 for BC.
Chris Boyer in motion. And that one is almost intercepted. Kamara went down in front of the intended receiver, Dave Moore. And I think what BC and East Carolina last week have shown, Todd, is that the scouting report that'll probably follow Alex Van Pelt as long as he's at Pittsburgh. If you let him get into a rhythm, he's going to beat you. You've got to be aggressive against him. Pittsburgh, big play though early in the game when they recovered a fumble at the Boston College 9-yard line and could only get a field goal out of it. And Glenn Foley has had a career high 4 touchdown passes. Incomplete, intended to Boyer. Eric Shorter, I believe, was upset that he slipped and fell on that play. Otherwise, he would have had an interception.
BC brought Kamara on a corner blitz again, and for the first time today, they made an adjustment and picked it up with an offensive lineman. They were alert to it that time. They picked it up. Van Pelt had enough time to throw. But he has been a disruptive force for Alex Van Pelt today. You're going to see him coming in from the right side of your screen. And the lineman, the center, Sestilli, slips out and picks him up, allowing him to make the throw, but his receiver Boyer had slipped down.
Barr coming in again. Van Pelt has time and delivers a nice strike to Boyer. And that's complete for a first down to the Boston College 20. One of the better throws Van Pelt has made today. Van Pelt now 22 out of 38. If you look at Pittsburgh and what they're facing here, dropping to 5-4, why that will be so critical is that Pittsburgh will play Rutgers next week, but then they don't play Penn State until the 28th of November. That will be after bowl bids are already given out. Pittsburgh would love to have been 7-3 when those bowl bids are made. 6-4 may not be enough to get it done. Flag down, incompletion. We have 10:51 to play here. Boston College leading 38-12.
Because I had one here.
And that penalty will go against Pittsburgh.
Paul Hackett really has a tough job on his hands right now because he's got a lot of guys who are young players playing for his football team. A couple redshirt freshmen, some sophomores.
On the offense, 5 yards, second down.
There's 3 top tacklers on the defense.
Penalties
One's a
applied.
freshman. The other 2 are sophomores. And he's got to keep their attitude and their morale up. This, if they lose here today, is going to be their 4th straight loss. They've not played bad football, with the exception of the game against Notre Dame. They were beaten badly by Notre Dame. Every other game, they have not played that badly. But just to keep the attitude of a young team positive, keep their work ethic up, is a difficult task for a head coach.
Jermaine Williams jockeying with Kamara down there at the goal line. Pass incomplete. And it will be 3rd down. That'll be the task that Paul Hackett will face all this week to get ready for Rutgers next Saturday. Of course, a win next week as you see West Virginia now about to close out the Scarlet Knights. That'll keep the Mountaineers' bowl hopes alive. Syracuse leading in the 2nd quarter. West Virginia will be 6-3 if they win that game, heading to Miami next Saturday. Van Pelt to the end zone again, and that one is off the fingertips of Chad Askew, who was hit by Shorter as he went up to try and catch that ball. And that will bring up 4th down for Pittsburgh.
I've really been impressed today by the play of the 2 redshirt freshman corners, Michael Reed, number 17, and Joe Kamara, number 5. They really have played well. They're young guys. They've gotten better each week, and they had a lot more responsibility on them today because BC made the decision that they were going to blitz and go after Van Pelt. That left them in man-to-man coverage quite a bit. Not only did they do a good job covering the receivers, Kamara was also very effective using him as a corner blitzer.
And Pitt going for it on 4th down and 10 at the BC 20. And that pass is broken up at the goal line. Intended for Askew. And a slew of defensive backs, Reed and Brennan, in on the play. And the Boston College defense holds. It takes over at the Pittsburgh 20. 38-12. Tom Coughlin might muster a smile at the end of those 10+ minutes. The second half has been a dominant one for Boston College. After Pittsburgh had played a good 2nd quarter to make this a very competitive game. And Glenn Foley has thrown 4 touchdown passes today, no interceptions. We had a chance to ask Tom Coughlin yesterday about Foley's development.
More packages and directions and things where he can actually control by knowledge of the defense what the play is on the field. I think that's twofold. One, we can be in the best play possible. It's not a Russian roulette thing anymore. And two, it gives the other players confidence in him. And by giving running game to Glenn, we now can pick and choose when we throw the ball, and we've had more success and less turnovers when we've been able to play like that.
That's amazing, Todd. Darnell Campbell running the way he is today. Dwight Shirley hasn't played at all, and Chucky Dukes had 148 yards last week. Now Tom Coughlin's got a pleasant problem.
Yes,
what do I
it's
do with all these backs?
a very enviable problem that he has. You know, it's really remarkable the way that each week somebody else has emerged for Tom Coughlin in this running game. Shirley went back-to-back, 104 yards against Louisville and West Virginia. Then Chucky Dukes explodes against Army for over 140 yards. Now Darnell Campbell puts the best day of all of them together, over 200 yards.
3rd and 4 for Boston College. Oh, that one was almost picked off. Trying to hit Mitchell on the sideline. And he was covered by Tinker Harris. And an incompletion will bring up 4th down and bring the BC punt team on the field. At 9 minutes and 8 seconds remaining, 38-12 Boston College. Eagles looking to go 3-5, and as well as they have played in this game, how tempting it is to agonize over that West Virginia loss here 2 weeks ago, a game they felt they should have won, and a game that would have them at 500 right now. After closing this one out, Kushner with a punt. Israel will let it hit shy of midfield, and Pittsburgh will have good field position.
There's not much solace in this, but they've got to be considered one of the best 3-5 football teams in the country. They have really played well the last 4 or 5 weeks. It really started with the 4th quarter against Penn State when they rallied from a 3-touchdown deficit, came back and almost won that football game. And since that time, since that 4th quarter against Penn State, they have played very good football.
Now they position themselves, whoever they play. BC will play Temple next week, then Syracuse and Miami. And it seems now to say, hey, we can't just play BC to throw the ball anymore. It's a team that can come out here and run on us. And Pelt going down the middle of the field. And that one is intercepted. Thrown up there, hoping that Junior Green can run underneath it. Instead, Charlie Brennan comes up with the interception. The 3rd of the game for Boston College, and that, I think, would be one pass that the Panthers would like to see Van Pelt take back.
The game has progressed into somewhat of a desperation situation for Pitt and for Van Pelt right now. He's just throwing this one up for grabs. His hand did get hit. Stone got in there and got a piece of it, I believe. But the ball just kind of flutters up there, and Brennan comes under for the interception. Brennan has been a steady player for this defense over the last year or 2 years. You know, it's kind of been a family tradition. His brother was a great receiver. He used to come up to the games when he was 9 and 10 years old to stand on the sideline. Actually used to hold the headphones for receiver coach Barry Gallup at that time. Always dreamed about coming to BC and never thought of going anywhere else. And he's been just been a fine performer as a defensive back here for the Eagles.
Campbell gaining 7 yards on the 1st down play. Darnell Campbell at 213 yards rushing for the season coming into this game. He now has run 215 in this game. There's your final for Morgantown. So the Mountaineers are now 6-3, and Rutgers drops to 5-4. Chucky Dukes the carry, and Dukes is stopped shy of a 1st down. Darnell Campbell's 215 yards rushing to this point in the game ties him for the 4th best single game performance in Boston College history. Phil Bennett has the best 253 yards in 1972 against Temple.
Well, they'll have a real family party tonight. You know, Darnell's one of 3 brothers on this team. He's got 2 older brother Carlton, who's an outside linebacker, and he's got a freshman running back, his younger brother Chris. His dad's a former security guard here at BC, so it should be quite a family gathering tonight for the Campbell family.
He's going to have a little black cord fever, too, as he gets on the telephone to call all his friends. 7:15 to play, and Paul Hackett, it's going to be a long 7:15. Now Campbell comes off the field and responds responsible for most of those 249 yards on the ground for Boston College, and Campbell gets a great hand. Now here's a give to Green. David Green on first down gets about 3. Pittsburgh's defense been on the field most of the second half, and now they're starting to get some reserves in the game, some fresh bodies. Mark Szymanski, a junior from Lower Burrell, Pennsylvania, in on that tackle. 221 yards, our number now on Campbell, 28 carries. Well, next Saturday, Rutgers and Pittsburgh will meet at Pitt Stadium. We'll have it for you live here, our Big East Conference game of the week at noon next Saturday. .6:15 to play here, 38-12 for Boston College, and the give is to Green. And he's out to the 35. And if Boston College can run off another couple of first downs against a tired and demoralized Pittsburgh team, they're going to be able to run most of the remaining time out.
One encouraging thing right now for the Pitt defense, though, is that they're still running to the football. They had a little bit of a letdown after the interception, and then the next play they got burnt for a touchdown run. But Fred Von Appen, he wants his team to continually run to the football, and they're back doing that the last 2 series on the field. The game is a little bit out of their hands right now, but they're not going to quit. They're going to continue to hustle on defense.
I guess the most fortunate part of your career, Todd, was that you weren't on the short end of many games like this to experience as a player.
I was on enough of them to know that they don't feel good, you know, and it's tough to continue to go back out there on the field and try to make plays. And as a quarterback for Alex Van Pelt, I mean, half of your game plan is eliminated right now. It's desperation time. That's when you throw interceptions. That's when you take some big hits because they can pin their ears back and really come after you with a pass rush. And it's a very difficult situation to be in.
Those Pittsburgh defense that Paul Hackett felt was improving this year is being shredded by the BC ground game. Notre Dame ran for 327 yards against Pittsburgh 3 weeks ago, but that was a team that's ranked 5th in the country. To have Boston College, which, as we mentioned, had no running game last year at all, do this has got to be a major concern to Hackett and to Fred Von Appen, the defensive coordinator.
But BC is, you know, one thing you've got to respect about Tom Coughlin. He said, this is the offense that we're going to run, and we're going to continue to do it. We're not real fancy. We're not real flashy. We're going to continue to work on it. And he got criticized early because they were only averaging about 75 yards a game on the ground. But they've stuck with it, and now the players, particularly the offensive linemen, have really adapted it and adopted it and said, this is the way we're going to win football games here at BC.
Well, that's an uplifting play for Pittsburgh. Tom Tumulty was a true freshman starting at linebacker. Good effort there to stick with and bring down David Green at the 48. And it will be 3rd and 2 for BC with 3:55 to play. The Eagles to go to 3-5 with a 38-12 lead.
Tumulty started the opener against West Virginia. He's only one of 6 guys at Pitt ever to do that. Start his first game as a freshman. Rico McDonald, the outside linebacker, is one of those 6 as well.
And Green is going to be short. That follows in the tradition of another fairly good football player named Dorsett.
Bill Fraley. Fraley played at the same high school, Penn Hills, out of Pittsburgh, that Tumulty went to. Tommy Flynn also played at Penn Hills High School as an outstanding defensive back for the Panthers.
Well, Boston College will punt now on 4th down and a yard, just shy of midfield. But with this one safely in hand, Bill Kushner out to punt it for Boston College. Israel running out of the field late to receive the kick, and Pittsburgh's going to be flagged. They didn't get their... I don't believe they got their people off the field in time. Israel brought down at the 11-yard line. But we did have a penalty marker on the play. Pittsburgh got its punt team out there late. And I don't believe they got everybody off the field in time.
Have offsetting fouls, illegal procedure on the offense, illegal substitution on the defense. defense. Do it over.
Okay, there we go. So they'll re-kick it. Those who might have missed, we had a little primer last week on the difference between illegal substitution and illegal participation. Illegal substitution is what you just saw, where Pittsburgh did not get their people off the field in time. Illegal participation is when you actually play with more than 11 men.
And I don't agree with that call. I don't think there should be a distinction. I think it should be just a 5-yard penalty either way. I don't think teams intentionally play with 12 people on the field. It's obviously a miscommunication problem, whether he stays on the field or he's trying to get off.
About the only time in football you make a distinction. Usually if you're on the field, you're on the field. In this case, if you're heading to the sidelines, it is determined that you are not participating, you're substituting. You can get off in time. Oh, Kushner blast that one. Ooh, that's a beautiful kick. And look at the bounce. And if that doesn't sum up Boston College's day, nothing will.
They've had excellent special teams all day, and that was the tip of the iceberg, or the icing on the cake right there.
2:38 remaining, and BC en route to the victory. We'll be back after these messages. In college, we'll see the BC Eagles 2 more times on our Big East game of the week before the season's ended. And I guess it's pretty good timing the way Boston College is playing. In 2 weeks, we'll see them at the Carrier Dome against Syracuse, and then our season finale, which should be intriguing, on November 23rd back here in Chestnut Hill, when BC will host Miami. And I'm sure deep down in their hearts, if Boston College could pick the perfect weather conditions for that November 23rd game, it'd be about 25 degrees, about a 25-mile-an-hour wind, maybe a little sleet in the air.
And also hope that it was about 90 in Tallahassee for the game with Florida State the week before, and a real knockdown, drag-out affair, that this team could come in maybe a little bit nicked up and not used to the cold weather.
All right, Pittsburgh has brought in freshman Ken Ferguson as their quarterback. And he hands the ball off to Tim Colicchio, so you have true freshmen now in the game for Pittsburgh. Colicchio in the running back spot. And Ken Ferguson from Arlington, Texas, a 6'3" freshman who won the backup quarterbacking job this year. Very fast and good mobility. Likely to have to sit for another year behind Van Pelt. 2 minutes and 5 seconds remaining. And it's second down for Pittsburgh from the 8-yard line. Oh, Ferguson with a guy on his back, throws it out nicely, and that'll be a first down. Catch by Dave Moore. Well, Pittsburgh will have a first down at the 14-yard line. And a nice little run there by Ferguson. That's just the second completion for Ken Ferguson. He's 2 for 2 now in his college career. And a first down with 1:35 remaining. Colicchio with a nice run. He's out to 28. Todd for Pittsburgh, and mentioned what a test it will be next Saturday to be ready to play against Rutgers and try to break this losing streak, because they ended their season down last year. They played a great game in their final game against Penn State, but still wound up at 3-7-1, and they don't want to have the similar situation, a downhill slide this year. Well, Darnell Campbell without a whole lot of mystery. 227 yards. In rushing today for Darnell Campbell. 50 seconds remaining. And that'll be a first down carry for Pittsburgh. Darnell Campbell, with his performance today and in Boston College's football history, it is the 4th largest single game rushing total. 227 yards for Darnell Campbell, and he is our Infinity Player of the game.
Darnell Campbell had a great ball game. I think, you know, if there was such a thing as a co-MVP or MVP Part B, it'd have to go to Glenn Foley 4 touchdown passes, and also defensive back Joe Kamara. I think all 3 of those guys played key roles in the win today for BC.
He'd be my defensive player of the game. Kamara had a fine day.
Colicchio on the carry. And he's across the 30-yard line, and that should be the final play as we're under 10 seconds. And a well-deserved ovation for the Boston College Eagles from their home crowd on homecoming. And a very joyous crowd for Tom Coughlin. A lot of what he's worked for 9 months, 10 months to build there in Boston College came to fruition today in a big way. For the very first time, a power running game, 4 touchdown passes by his quarterback, and a very good defensive effort, particularly in the second half.
Not only was it a great game plan offensively and defensively, but it was their first Big East win also. They lost to Rutgers in the opener. It's their first win. They lost to West Virginia a couple weeks ago, and it was an outstanding performance today by Tom Coughlin's team.
And as the quarterbacks trudge off the field, Van Pelt to take little solace in good numbers with a loss, and Glenn Foley with 4 touchdowns and the win for Boston College. Our final score, Boston College 38, Pittsburgh 12. Remember to join us next week for Rutgers at Pitt. For those of you staying with us, our post-game show comes up next after these words from our local stations. Back at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, a very impressive win for Boston College, 38-12 over Pittsburgh. Winning coach Tom Coughlin is with Harry Carson.
Coach, 2 weeks ago, you lost to a West Virginia ball club on the last play of the game. There was no doubt today.
Well, thank God, Harry, we finally played well in the second half. It was a great challenge for our kids to come out and play well in the second half. I can't tell you how many times we've been ahead at the half and have faltered, or something has taken place in the second half which has cost us the ball game. And today, thank God we were able to play 4 quarters of football.
The first 4 games of the season, you played some great opponents, Michigan, Penn State, Georgia Tech, and you lost. But you kept this team up, and you convinced them that they could win in the latter part of the season.
They responded well. We've done a lot of things with these kids, and I give them a lot of credit. They've believed everything we've said. They never have been in the tank. They never felt down to the point where we couldn't motivate them, and that's a credit to them.
Coach, BC is traditionally a passing team. Now you got these guys running the ball like heck. You know, you had Shirley for 2 weeks, you had Dukes last week, and today Campbell. Where'd you get these guys from?
They're responding. They're coming and they're responding, and I think it's a part of that package that we talked about, where we have to run the ball, we have to be balanced. The offensive line has come along, and we did run the ball well again today, and someone else came to the surface. Darnell came to the surface and had a big day, and Chucky last week, and Dwight has carried us for a couple of weeks in the past. So I'm glad to see us have some balance and some other kids play well.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. It probably is the best sign of having a true running game when you can have 3 different backs in 4 weeks go over 100 yards. And today, Darnell Campbell went over 200. Boston College now with its 3rd win. Pittsburgh losing for the 4th consecutive week. 38-12, Boston College with the victory. We'll continue with our post-game show on the Big East Conference Network after these words. Points, I'm sure a lot of folks right here are wondering, what the heck's going on? We had a guy run for that many yards?
Well, it's a different style of game for BC. It's Tom Coughlin's style, and the fans are, I think, probably getting used to it a little bit more because they've played very well the last 4 weeks, and they've won a couple ball games. And that running game, what it does, not only does it chew up time, it allows you to possess the football, but it helps your quarterback. Glenn Foley has played outstanding the last 3 or 4 weeks because of the addition of that running game. The play action is a factor. He's cut down on his interceptions, and he can throw when he wants to throw instead of when the defense wants him to throw.
Well, today, junior Darnell Campbell had the 4th highest rushing total in one game in Boston College football history. And he's standing by right now with Harry Carson. Harry?
I don't know what camera I'm on. Darnell, tell me the truth. You woke up this morning, you didn't know you were going to run the ball 28 times for 227 yards.
Definitely, I did not know that. Well, I just thank God for my strength, my line. They did a tremendous amount. They worked hard all week in practice, did a great job today. We came out, we executed our offense. We just played heads-up football with them. That's all we did.
Your offensive line really was outstanding. They opened some holes today for you, and you really weren't touched by Pitt defenders.
Really, I wasn't. But I thank God for my ability just to get through those holes, and the line did a great job too. I just thank God for that.
Now, where has this running attack of Boston College come from? You know, Dukes last week had an outstanding game, and Shirley earlier in the season, he's been running the ball extremely well. There's just a stable of running backs here at Boston College.
Well, in practice, coach stressed us that we have to run the ball, that we have to run the ball in order for the offense to get their stuff going. For passing and running, we have to run the ball. He tells us we have to work hard. We can't be touched by the defender. We can't go down. We got to have balance. He stretched the running attack very well.
What has he brought to this Boston College program?
Right now, we get unity here. The guys are coming together as one. And right now, we just working hard in practice. We know we can do it. All we got to do is believe in ourselves. That's all.
Was there at any point this season, after you lost the first 4 games of the season, did anybody get down? How did he convince you guys to stay up?
Oh, definitely not. No one got down. We know we had the team to compete with all the big-time teams. Coaches tell us to stay mentally focused, just go out there and work hard, give an effort every down. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the team. Just go out there and work hard.
Well, who's going to run this ball next week?
We don't know. We find out this week in practice.
All right. Thanks a lot. Congratulations.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys.
Well, 227 yards and 29 carries for Darnell Campbell. Wonderful game today. 4th largest single-game rushing total in Boston College history, and the Eagles beat Pittsburgh 38-12. Happy fans filing out here in Chestnut Hill, and we'll return with more of our post-game activities of the Big East Conference Football Network. Momentum as far as BC was concerned. That was the continual corner blitzing on Alex Van Pelt.
Something that they hadn't shown too much this season, and Van Pelt was not clued into it. And really give credit to Steve Sabo, the defensive coordinator, timely defensive calls for those blitzes against Van Pelt.
Well, in the 4th quarter when the game was still up for grabs, let's look at one of those blitzes by Joe Kamar that created one of the 3 Boston College interceptions. Well, actually, we'll take a look at Glenn Foley first here.
This was the first touchdown in the second half. Foley left the pocket, and then Cannon, nice job adjusting with his quarterback on the scramble, coming up with the touchdown, beating Dave Coleman.
And this was set up by the interception created by Joe Kamara's corner blitz.
Another combination, Foley to Cannon. And again, just a great athletic catch by Cannon. Coleman had very good protection there. He was in good position to make the play. Cannon went up, stole the ball away from him, secured the catch on the way down to the ground.
And Glenn Foley only threw 21 passes in this football game, and that is really remarkable.
And this is part of the reason why this guy, Darnell Campbell, 227 yards rushing. This was the last touchdown that they scored, and at that point, the Pitt defense was very demoralized. The offensive line just stuck it to him.
All right, well, BC is 3-5, and they have their last 3 games of the year are games that I'm sure they're looking forward to playing now, saying, hey, we may still salvage a good season out of this.
Well, they certainly can, and just as Harry mentioned, Coughlin's approach, the first 4 games was one part of our season. Now we're focusing on the last 6 ball games, or 7 ball games. We feel we got a chance to win all of them and be in competition, and they've done that, and they can finish strong. And I look to in a couple weeks to seeing a good ball game between Boston College and Miami.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh looks at saying, hey, if we win next week, we still get a winning season. And before the season began, not many folks think Pitt would have a winning year this year.
Well, they still have a lot of work to go. I mean, Paul Hackett has a tough job ahead of him, but they still have a lot of talent on this football team. They can finish strong as well.
And we'll see Pittsburgh next week when they go back home to meet the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers on our Big East Conference Game of the Week. That'll be next Saturday at noon on these stations. And our Big East Conference game today has been produced by Paul Carlson and been directed by Jim Edmonds. And the very capable assistance of the rest of our fine crew here in Boston. final score again here at Chestnut Hill today. Boston College wins its third game 38-12 over Pittsburgh. Join us next week from Pitt Stadium, Rutgers and Pitt at 12 noon on our Big East Conference television network. Now with Todd Blackledge and Harry Carson, I'm Ted Robinson. Thanks for being with us from Boston College. The preceding has been a Big East Conference television network production.
Next time on